Welcome back to the Late for Loading podcast. I'm Chris. I'm here with my co-host Josh, and on this week's episode, we have, I mean, we say this a lot, but it's because it's the truth about a lot of the guests we've been getting on the show so far. But I mean, literally, in my eyes, one of the biggest legends that the metalcore scene has to offer, Mr. Jesse Leach of the band Killswitch Engage. And my God, what a human being, you know, like. I just so humble and down to earth. It's crazy, and it feels like to me. I know that he doesn't look at himself this way, and I'm sure that no one we have on the show looks at themselves this way. But I look at him as like, I mean, he's the pinnacle. You know what I mean? Like I still remember the day, and you might not remember this.
I remember it,
but you sent me My Last Serenade. You had me download My Last Serenade off of Napster. I'm sorry, guys. I'm really sorry. But you had me download My Last Serenade off of Napster, and it literally turned my world upside down.
I remember when I first heard My Last Serenade, and what's crazy that you picked that song in particular is because when we confirmed Jesse, I had listened. I mean, I hadn't listened. I had sang My Last Serenade in my head when I was cutting the grass. I've been singing it probably every day since then. It just won't leave. But when I remember when I first heard that song, it blew me away. That voice with that aggressive style music just fucking blew me away. It was like something you never heard before.
It's like you can like physically feel every ounce of pain and frustration in his voice. Like he's singing it and you can feel it in your body. He's got such a talent for audibly expressing his physical emotions. It's wild.
It was so crazy to hear his journey and how, you know, I talk about with some young bands that haven't experienced tour before that, you know, sometimes touring is just not for everybody.
Right.
That lifestyle just isn't for everybody. It's challenging, it's difficult, and you know, to hear somebody who from our eyes was larger than life,
right,
to go through and do his first tour, and then, you know, that band was on an extreme rise, and he was just like, fuck it, I can't do this, I'm out.
Yeah, literally exactly that. He got literally every, you know, stereotypical version of a band's dream of getting signed to this. Like, I mean, is Roadrunner a major label? Probably. If they're not a major label, they're as close as you can get to being a major label.
They are.
I mean, metal. To me, yeah. But to get picked up by Roadrunner, you know, and like you said, be on this very obvious, you know, fucking rocket ship ride to the moon, and realize in the heat of the first, you know, real full-time tour that the band ever does that, fuck,
I can't do this,
and to have to leave, and he leaves in a very less than ideal way, and he gets into that, and if you don't know the story, I'm going to leave that for you to hear in the episode. But
I didn't know the story, so it was so fascinating for me to hear, and then to, you know, to learn that he had to audition for his own band, essentially.
Right.
You know, I'm not gonna. You guys just need to listen. It's a fantastic episode. A special dude. I hope that I can call him a friend at this point now. I'm gonna, you know, see him this summer, and yeah, he was great.
Yeah, awesome episode. Probably one of the most unique stories you can hear about somebody in the music industry, and it's just,
I would say so.
Yeah, it's super awesome. So I hope you guys enjoy this week's episode with Jesse Leach of the band Killswitch Engage. This episode of Late for Loading is brought to you by Rockabilia.com, your go-to destination for 100% official band merchandise. No bootlegs, no cheap knockoffs, just authentic gear straight from the bands you love. From metal and punk to classic rock and beyond, Rockabilia has over 500,000 items in stock. T-shirts, hoodies, hats, patches, and even rare, hard-to-find collectibles. If you're looking for something exclusive, Rockabilia drops brand new limited edition merch every month. So if you see something you like, grab it before it's gone. And in fact, we just placed an order for some new merch ourselves. I picked up a very, very cool Linkin Park Meteora hoodie. Josh, did you grab something?
Yeah, I grabbed a couple things. I got a super limited Eminem tour shirt, and then what you mentioned not missing out, I saw a Meatloaf tour shirt from 2005 that I really, really wanted. Unfortunately, I didn't have my size, so I missed out on that one.
Well, there you have it. Don't wait. Our friends at Rockabilia are hooking up Late for Loading listeners with 10% off when you use code LOAD at checkout. So if your band T collection needs a refresh and you want to support the artists who make the music we love, hit up rockabilia.com, load up your cart, and drop in code LOAD, LOAD, for that sweet discount. Now let's roll today's show. Jesse Leach, welcome to the Late for Loading podcast, man. I appreciate you taking some time out of your day, especially you just got back from tour not that long ago too. So I really appreciate you taking some time to chat with us, because I know it can be tough to like decompress post tour. So I appreciate you taking some time to chat.
Yeah, you got it. For me, a good conversation is always worth it.
What type of stuff, I know right before we were talking about being deep in the woods, what kind of stuff do you do to decompress when you get home?
Basically just my favorite thing in the world is going out alone into the wilderness and just finding a nice spot where there's zero human beings and sitting and breathing, meditating, praying, talking out loud, walking around, pacing, just kind of like talking to myself, talking to God. You know, I just kind of just spend a lot of time alone or with my lady doing activities. You know, we are really into hiking and kayaking and cycling, just outdoor activities. That's my like sweet spot. And then sitting by my fire in my backyard and just looking at the stars and listening to some good tunes, having a couple beers and just relaxing.
You have snakes up there or no?
We got snakes, but most of the dangerous ones, you know, we got rattlers, but you don't really find them around here. They're more up in the mountains. But where we are in the Catskills, there's not many dangerous things. You don't have to worry about too much.
I'm scared of snakes. That's all I was going to say.
Oh, yeah. Fuck snakes. I don't mess with that either. Snakes, spiders.
Yeah, my wife can't stand them, but I'm not bothered by them. As long as I've had one swim at me once in a swimming hole. That was a little unnerving.
That's like my worst nightmare.
That's a little unnerving. But for the most part, I admire them, and they don't mess with you if you don't mess with them. Just don't be a dumbass. You'll watch where you're walking.
I mean, that part's definitely true.
They're just scary.
Have you always been an outdoorsy type of guy? I know you've like always been more spiritual, maybe kind of more in touch with the earth than most of us bozos of the world. Have you always just like gravitated to be like an outdoorsy type of guy?
Yeah, I mean, I lived in urban areas most of my young life, but my dad made a point at a very young age, and one of my first memories actually is being in the White Mountains in New Hampshire and looking up and seeing the stars, you know, when I was like 5 or 6 years old. And, you know, he always made time in the summers. We grew up very poor, both parents working very hard. My dad studying constantly, you know, to be a minister. He's got the, you know, master's degrees. He's got a doctorate in theology. So he's a very learned man that was just always on the grind. My mom's a nurse, always on the grind. But we grew up with nothing. But one thing they always spent on us was time. They were always good about bringing us out to nature or, you know, taking us on vacations, even if we're like eating protein bars to survive on that vacation. True story. So they always made time. And my dad always just, you know, it's you worship the creator, not the creation, but he always wanted us around creation. So I became a little bit more of a nature boy than anyone in my family because it just stuck with me. There's something about it. I feel closer to myself and I feel closer to God when I'm out in the middle of creation, if you will.
Sure. Yeah, I totally get that. I feel like I was more of an outdoorsy type person when I was younger, and at some point I don't want to say like grew out of that, but my obsession with music and studio work and stuff like that, kind of all of my hobbies just kind of like steered me back into the indoors world.
More reason why you should go out.
I know.
Because all those magnets and those machines that you're surrounded by, they're draining your life force away.
I would love to say that you're probably wrong, but I know that you're probably right, and that's horrifying. It actually, I truly believe that there probably is truth to that, and that definitely does scare me. It scares me.
Recharge. That's all you gotta do is recharge, ground, get out in nature.
I was going to ask about grounding. That's something I've heard a couple people talk about. I never have personally done it, but do you do a bunch of grounding?
Oh yeah, I'm in my bare feet every morning. I go out there, even in the winter in the snow. I'll do it.
Really?
I get in the rivers. I go for long walks, and all the shoes I wear now are like the barefoot shoes. Yeah. Totally makes a huge difference. It's anti-inflammatory. It's good for your brain. I mean, we're supposed to be close to the earth, and again, with all these machines and magnets around us, your magnetic pole, your life force is being pulled and sucked out in all these different directions. Your brain is attention spans being shortened by society. So getting out in nature, grounding, being out in the wilderness is the best way to recharge your batteries and sort of balance all this crazy shit out.
Yeah.
So I highly recommend it. And hand in hand with that lately has been meditation. Been really getting into that as well. All that stuff just balances you. I need it. I need it.
Yeah,
With the jobs that, we do, you guys know, like when you're out working hard, or if you're on tour with your band, or if you're stuck in an office all day, you need balance. You need it.
Yeah, it's the hardest thing. It's been one of the biggest challenges in my life personally, is finding that balance, because I have this obsessive work ethic or work thing. I'm obsessed with it. It's really hard for me to put something down, especially when I know something's going on. So, and having kids too. Having kids and a wife, it's hard to find that balance. It's important, but it's been something I struggle with for a long time.
Yep, same. And it's something that my wife is much better about trying to get out and like be in nature just in general. She loves to, like, even if it's just going out and like working in the flower beds and stuff, she loves being outside. My daughter's really good about that. My son has definitely taken more to my love of being indoors, but I've also clocked that, and so is my wife, and so I'm like actively trying to figure out ways to get him outside and like engaging in any sort of activity that gets him just out of the house in general, just because like I said, I recognize in me that is a path that I've, like, at some point in my life just took a hard right turn and just went down into this like find me in my cave kind of situation. And I know that, and I know it's not awesome. So I'm trying to like help course correct my son without being like forceful about it. You know what I mean? Like I want him to understand that there are good things out there. You can go out there. You don't need the internet to there are other things in the world that you can appreciate. You know what I mean?
When we were kids, it was go out and don't come back till it's dark.
Pretty much.
All we did was stay outside,
Yeah, absolutely.
So
it's a beautiful way to be, man.
Absolutely.
I harken back to my youth constantly when I'm out there in the woods or in my backyard. It's being in touch with your inner child too, like the generation before the internet. I adore that I had that in my childhood.
Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely.
Before we go too much further, I want to get this out of the way so I don't do it again later. And I think, if I remember correctly, because we met for the first time at Shiprocked, and it was a very quick in passing thing. You and your wife were watching our set, and we got to talk for a second after the set. But Killswitch, and specifically Alive or Just Breathing, were massive records for me and both Josh. So
for sure,
Josh and I were in our very first band together ever when I was like 11 years old, and like honestly, finding that record is a part of what set me down this course. So looking off the stage and seeing you guys sitting there watching part of our set blew my mind, first and foremost. And just so being here and having this conversation now is like a crazy, this is like a crazy life tick moment for me. So first off, again, appreciate you being here to chat with us. Appreciate you putting and then appreciate you putting out good vibes and great music into the world. And I know that I and Josh are not the only people that the music you've been a part of, we're not the only people that it inspired to do what we do. So I just wanted to start by getting all the fanboying stuff out of the way right off the top, and then we can move past that and get into a little bit of your story. So I guess before we jump way back to the beginning of it, let's talk about the recent tour that you just finished, because it looked massive, really, really massive. And the lineup was insane. How was the tour overall?
Yeah, the lineup was insane. Absolutely. Every band killed. I just think for us, where we are in our career, we're making that push we put out a record that I'm extremely proud of. I think we really pushed ourselves with that, first and foremost. A record that really speaks precisely what I wanted to say after a lot of struggle to figure out what I wanted to say, and from the support of those guys. So after that record was done and, I took it all in, I was like, we've got to push. So, we're putting ourselves in bigger rooms. For the first time, we're putting a videographer or social media into our budget to get the word out. I mean, this is a band. We're just doing this now. Bands have been doing this for years. And I've been saying, hey, we should really invest in putting us out there. So all these wheels are in motion. The forward momentum, it just feels important. It feels like what we're doing, to me at least, is important. There's purpose behind it. It's not just being in a rock band and playing shows, or a metal band. There's something underlying all of it. And lyrically, what I'm talking about in this record, there's an urgency there, a desire for a reawakening of consciousness in our society, because there's a lot of people who are asleep. There's a lot of people who are just taking what they're force fed through the media and swallowing it and running with it and going left or right in an extreme direction. And if you don't follow me, you're wrong, you're a Nazi, you're this, like all this bickering, infighting, all of it. I'm so tired of it. And
Same.
to me, it just hit a peak during the pandemic. So coming out of that, I was just driven by the desire to bring people back together. So I think that's kind of where everything is for me. It's not just about the career. It's about the purpose behind it and why I feel what I'm privileged enough to be doing is important, because there's a message, an underlying righteous anger to everything that I'm doing right now. It's on purpose.
Justifiably so.
Yes, we'll start with that. Yeah, justifiably so for sure. But like, why? And this is something that I've been feeling more just about doing what we do in general, especially for as long as I've been doing it, and now that I have, you know, a wife and 2 kids and a home and all that stuff, it's like, if I'm not a part of something that's saying something that I fully believe in, or music that I fully feel, or whatever, then why am I doing it? Like, you know, it's not easy to leave home, leave behind the people you love. Like, I don't want to do that. I love what I do, right? And I love the music that my band makes, and still I have a hard time doing it. So like, if I don't believe in it, why would I leave all this stuff behind? You know what I mean? So it's like, I've definitely reached a point recently, and not to say that I haven't always worked from, you know, this viewpoint before, but it's like it's really clicked for me in the past like 6 months or so, where it's like, if I'm not doing something that I like 100% believe in, regardless of what people think I should or shouldn't be doing, or the band should or shouldn't be doing, if I can't get behind it wholeheartedly, then like, I'm done, I'm out. Like that means that my path is like run its course in this current scenario. And luckily I don't feel like we're at that point, but I can just understand, like, if you don't feel it, then why are you going to even bother doing it in the first place? You know, like there's got to be a reason that fuels what we do. And isn't that's like also supposed to be like the kind of underlying ethos of this whole world of music we're in the first place too. You know what I mean?
I completely agree. And it's funny because, you know, I've toured with bands, different genres. You know, I've been in different styles of bands, and it always strikes me odd to see, you know, the sort of like whiskey and women type bands. Like, it's fun for a party band, but when you're behind the scenes with bands like that, they burn out quick, because it's just not, I mean, you can do that for a while, but you can't sustain, most bands can't sustain that for a long time.
Right.
There's got to be something else besides the music. And you know, like, I'm like you, I would rather stay home than go out and do some bullshit. Right. Or stand behind a microphone and just talk about nonsense. I feel like there's a time and a place for everything. And don't get me wrong, I love some like 80s pop music. I love some indie rock that the lyrics are kind of nonsensical and they're poetic and they don't exactly mean something. They're not changing my life, but they just give me melody and make me feel a certain way. Sure. I like that. But for me, coming from hardcore, coming from punk, that's always been about the message. Always. That's the first thing that led me into this world, was like, oh, there's a movement of bands who are saying positive things. There's a righteous anger to it. There's like, I don't need to be like the rest of society. In fact, I pride myself on not being like you and having something to say. That is still at the core of me. It's a more gentle, sage-like, wisdom-filled energy like that, because I'm not as, you know, if you don't like hardcore, you're an idiot. Like, when I was younger, I was definitely a bit of an elitist.
Yeah,
but
sure.
Now, like, Killswitch is for everybody. It's the message. We want you to have fun. There is ritual in what we do, but there's also performance and fun. And I think that's what sets us apart from a lot of bands too, is it's not all just like this, you know, you got Adam D making terrible jokes, and you know, we have moments where we chug beer, and like there's a humor to it too, which I think is important as well, because you want people to have fun. You want people to laugh. You know, one of my favorite things to do is going to see stand-up comedians. I love it. I love to laugh. So if you can kind of mix that together, but still you're not losing sight when the music plays, the lyrics are being sung or screamed, it's there. And I love that about what we do with Killswitch.
Yeah, for sure.
I've actually never been to a stand-up comedy show that I can remember.
Oh, dude, it's so much fun. I do it all.
You're missing out
all the time.
Yeah,
just don't sit in the front row if you go, Because if you sit in the front row, you're a
Yeah,
fucking...
or do, because then you have to laugh at
Why, are
yourself.
you saying I look funny or what?
No, it just doesn't matter if you look funny or not. You're just
Okay.
you're a target in the front
They
row.
will find something about you. They always do.
Yeah, if you have any sort of insecurity, they will. They'll sniff it out and they'll get you.
Being in a room full of people who are laughing from their bellies, you know what it's like. If you're at a restaurant, right, and someone's at a couple tables over, and it's an actual, genuine belly laughter,
right?
You can't even help but like, that's nice. Like,
yeah. It makes you want to laugh almost.
People that are doing that, I will leave and I've got pains in the back of my skull because I've just been laughing for like an hour and a half straight. It's the best feeling. I highly recommend it.
Yeah, I should try that. I should try that. I don't know how many stand-up comedians come to Pensacola, Florida, but they probably ought to start, huh?
Probably not a lot, bud. It's Pensacola, Florida.
Calm down. It's nice here.
Travel. I have to drive 2 hours to see any of that stuff, so it's.
That's true. So we're 3 hours from New Orleans, so it's got to be close.
Oh man,
they got to go to New Orleans.
One of my favorite cities. Yes.
Yeah, we got to go there. Can we go back to your earliest memories of music? Was it playing around your house growing up, or how did music make its way into your life?
Yeah, my dad. So my dad started out in the '60s as a guitar player.
Okay, sure.
Then he kind of went into biker culture, greaser sort of life, and then he was like smuggling drugs over the border with his Harley, like kind of life. Yeah. And then he found Jesus. It was one of those moments where he was just searching for something that the drugs wouldn't give him, that the lifestyle wouldn't give him. And he met this guy and he got saved, and that led him on a lifelong journey of trying to figure out who this God, Jesus Christ person is. And that led him to picking up the guitar again and becoming, singing Christian songs. So I grew up with my dad leading music and studying to be a minister and being surrounded by church music a lot. And that stuff was like ingrained in me, but it didn't quite move me like when my dad showed me the Beatles, or Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young. Like his 60s ex-hippie biker thing was still there. And there was certain secular music he allowed me to hear. And the first thing I remember was the Beatles was the first group that he put on that I was like, this is different. It was like cartoon in my ears, if that makes any sense. Listening to the Yellow Submarine record and hearing the weird sounds and like, you go from like church music or music that's on the radio to the Beatles. And this is the early 1980s. It's a jarring difference. It's just pure creativity. So that was kind of the first time when my ears pricked up and I was like, this is cool. What is this? Flash forward to me like going through my dad's record collection, pulling the vinyls out, having the canned headphones and just sitting by this altar of vinyl and just devouring all his records. That's kind of where the spark kind of started. But it didn't really sink its teeth into me until I discovered punk when I was in my teen years. But the early days was definitely 60s rock, I think was the first thing that really got me.
I feel like it's a common thread that we're hearing, like, and I can relate completely, is that metal hardcore, I was never really too big into punk. My mom was into it, but it was not really too much my thing. But metal and hardcore really was like when music started to take over my life.
Yeah, absolutely. How could it not? It's the most powerful sounding thing, and especially, the time frame that I grew up in, born in 78. So for me, it was Northeastern United States in the early to mid 90s. That scene around, Rhode Island, Massachusetts, Connecticut, there was nothing like it. It was infectious. I mean, even before quote unquote metalcore, before bands like Shadows Fall, Killswitch, Unearth, like what was the precursor to that was just crazy crossover music. And where I lived in Providence, it was everything from grindcore, a band called Drop Dead that I worshipped at the altar of. They were just an amazing grindcore band, to like art rock, to like what would be considered emo, but wasn't emo yet, like indie rock, high water pants with black rim glasses and greaser hair with like whining about girls, like goth music. I would go to goth shows. Every week in Providence, Rhode Island, you could go to a different club and see a different thing, and it became my religion. And metal in hardcore, when that came together, that was unstoppable. There was nothing like those early days. Overcast, Candiria, Hatebreed coming on the scene. Like when those bands started to make their impact, that was it. I was like, whatever this is, this is. You couldn't ignore that music. You couldn't. You can't just put it on in a party and everyone like relaxes. You're like, what are we listening to? This is insane. Listen to those vocals. This is so heavy, dude. There was nothing like it. So yeah, that was the spark where I was like, okay, I'm gonna do that.
Yeah, we I was actually going to get to this later, but this actually plays right into it really well. We had Brian Fair on the show, and we were talking to him about how how much of an impact that Northeast hardcore metalcore, whatever, like that whole scene up there, how big of an impact it had on heavy music as a whole. And there was a time period where it felt like every band that was worth a damn came from that area of the country. And we started picking his brain a little bit about what it was like for him to grow up in that. And I also asked him, so I'm kind of curious what you think as well. Is like all of these influential bands coming out of this like small corner of our giant country, right? Like what the hell was going on there? That like
something in the water.
Yeah, like what was driving all of this like innovation, and like where was all the rage coming from? And like, I don't know, there was, you lived it, you saw it firsthand. There was a special thing happening in that corner. And there's been little pockets that have popped up all over the world, and that like in certain periods of times, like, not long after, the Kill Switches and the Shadows Falls and all that, and the Unearths, like then like the Orange County scene starts popping off, and that's like the hot spot. But for a long time, it was that New England area. So like, what do you think it was that was really like driving the inspiration for all these bands to really kind of push the boundaries of what was going on in heavy music at that time?
Yeah, I think we are fortunate because in the 80s, Boston had like this crazy independent indie rock scene. Providence is already established as a punk ska area. Death metal was already like pretty established. So you already have these pre-existing music scenes that were happening. It's a unique time because you're talking pre-internet. So there was a lot of word of mouth, which made it really provocative. I can remember going through a little area of Providence called Olneyville, which was all old abandoned warehouses, and the artists could live very cheaply there too, which I think if you look at a lot of the music scenes from, Los Angeles to Seattle to LA, there's always a market or a place where artists can live cheap and, go into these old abandoned warehouse spaces. And that's when I feel like creativity starts, when you get a bunch of artists together who are living on the cheap, just living off their art, suffering for their art. That's when those scenes start to bubble up. And for us, it was just perfect timing, On top of that, I will say what makes the Northeast very unique is we have a lot of gray, cold, bitter weather here.
Sure.
And you have a lot of working class people who are out working in this, whether it's construction, roofing. I mean, everyone I grew up with, we had somebody that was in construction, like blue collar worker, pissed off, not making enough money, going out on weekends and getting drunk and going to a show and, jumping in the mosh pit or just doing something wild. It's kind of ingrained in us, this bitter, angry, like we are unsatisfied with the status quo. So the only way to blow off steam is to do something crazy. And fortunately, where I lived, we were right near the Rhode Island School of Design, which is where Talking Heads came out of Shepard Fairey, just to name a couple of like people who have like been very influential. So that scene of like all these colleges and creativity with like a very cheap place to live in the warehouse scenes, and they would put on shows, and that was the buzz. Providence was the buzz for me. I can't speak. I mean, I definitely traveled around to Connecticut, Massachusetts. I definitely went to shows and I traveled, but I was bred in Providence. So to me, that was a hotbed of creativity. And getting back to Olneyville, what I loved about it was they didn't even advertise in the paper. Sometimes towns or cities will have like an artistic paper with like club listings. We had that, but the Olneyville scene didn't have that at all. You had to go walk the streets and see a silkscreen poster put up with
Oh, yeah,
like,
that's
you
cool.
know, gluten paste that was spackled, and you saw this crazy picture. And I'll never forget, one of the first ones I saw was a band called Violent Anal Death. And it was a Sesame Street sign with Big Bird, Ernie, someone getting fisted
Jesus Christ.
to their elbow,
All right.
and like, you know, Bert and Ernie. And then it was like
I'd be terrified of that
Violent
band.
Anal Death playing at the Red Rum Warehouse, whatever it was called, you know, Fort Thunder Warehouse. And you just would like take out your notepad and write it down. Okay, I guess I'm gonna go see this wild fucking band. or you know, someone's passing out flyers on the street. Some guy with a big, huge, tall mohawk is like, I'm in a band, check my band out. And I had to be there. So you couldn't just go on the internet. So for me as a kid, when I started, you know, joining this movement and getting in bands, like I showed up. I was there
Yeah, for
3-4
sure.
times a week. We would go into Onlyville and you could just go like this. Oh, I think it's that way. Walk that way. Cases
that's
of beer. You know, where's the show? Where's the show? And you listen for like the drums and like, oh, the show's that way. And you see a bunch of punks hanging out in front of this warehouse. Oh, we found the show. You know, bring some canned food for Food Not Bombs and $5, and you get into the show. And you watch a band from Japan. You watch, you know, Grief, Man is the Bastard, you know, Murder City Devils, like just crazy bands that I just didn't even know who they were until you saw them.
Right.
And that's the buzz for me. I still look back on those days. It was magic. You never knew what you were going to see. You couldn't look it up. You had to just go and show up and like, oh, shit, this is my new favorite band. Oh, we're playing Connecticut tomorrow. All right, we're driving to Connecticut tomorrow. We're going to follow this fucking band. Like,
I was going to ask you this because as I'm listening to you talk, I'm getting like more and more bummed out because how much of a bummer is it that this new generation is never going to experience that? Because ours wasn't as extreme as that, but you know, we did the whole flyering and all that shit. Like, man, that shit is just gone now. Like kids, bands these days are never going to be able to experience, not even bands, but fans, people in general will not ever be able to experience life-changing movements like that.
Yeah, it's youth culture, you know, and it's kind of dead in the water. I mean, there are small pockets of it, but back then it was so unique. You know, for example, I saw a band play and the guy was wearing a t-shirt. A t-shirt looked cool on stage. I wrote down the name. I went to my local record store, which I had to take a public bus to before I had a license. Jump on a bus, take the bus a half hour to downtown, walk a half mile, go up 4 flights of stairs, find the guy behind the counter and be like, hey, you ever hear of this band? Yep. Oh, yeah. I got a catalog. Brings out like a paper catalog, you know. I can get you their 7-inch. It'll be here in like 4 weeks. Like, all right, yeah. All right, here's like, you know, $350 plus postage. I'll come back and I'll check. So every week I'm coming back in, I'm looking at new records, and the thing finally comes in, and I have it. I take the
No
bus.
clue what it even sounds like.
What's that?
No clue what it even sounds like.
No clue.
Yeah.
Just the band I saw had the t-shirt. You can't preview that shit. He didn't have it, so you order it.
Right.
Took that shit home, put that down on my turntable, put the needle down and sat and was like, whoa, this is crazy. It's a band called Mayday. And they're like in the vein of like Integrity, Bloodlight, like evil, dark hardcore. And the 7-inch starts out with just a guy breathing. And then like kicks in and it's just this evil, dark lyrics like, wow. And I remember just sitting there in front of my record player and being like, whatever this shit is, like, this is the crack. I'm so addicted to like discovering music. So I was at the record store like at least once a week, going to shows 3-4 times a week before I could even drive, taking the city bus down there.
Yep.
It was my religion.
We had a place called Record and Tape Traders.
That's what I was going to bring. I was going to bring that up too.
It was 2 locations, and it was the same thing. But you could take back CDs. So like when you got done, you know, listening to whatever, and you couldn't afford another one, you could take the ones that you didn't listen to anymore, trade them in, and get new stuff. It was awesome.
Oh, that's brilliant.
That was our youth, though. That was it. Like
it was the only record store in our area that like they sold everything, but they also catered to people who enjoyed metal and
Punk,
hardcore,
metal, and
and
hardcore, for sure.
Every back then, new record day was Tuesday, so every Tuesday at minimum I would be there checking out the new releases, and I would even do occasionally what you were talking about. I would like just dig through the metal section and find a record that looked cool. And I had no clue who the band was, nothing about the band. And this is like, I probably could have gone home and like looked them up on like fucking MySpace or something, right? But like, even then, like there was, compared to what we have access to now, you're getting very little information on a MySpace page, And so I would just, it's in the metal section, the artist's sick, never heard it before, I'm just going to buy it. And, you'd sit down and listen to it, and it would either be like, wow, this is fucking cool, I'm glad I bought this, or holy shit, this sucks. You didn't really know until you did it. But and Josh has mentioned this on a couple other episodes, but it's like, because we didn't have Spotify and all the instant gratification that comes with that, and like if I don't like something after 5 seconds, I skip to the next thing. Sometimes those records that I would get, if I didn't like it at first, I wouldn't have the opportunity to get something else to replace it. So I would just listen to it and listen to it and listen to it, and eventually I'd end up understanding the what the band's going for or whatever, and I'd end up actually liking it a lot, which I do think is another thing that like this younger generation is just never gonna understand. That's not their fault, and it's not to say that we had it better than they did. It's just like we had a much different relationship with discovering new music. We were more patient with discovering new music, I guess.
Yeah, it's more precious.
Yeah.
And you kind of have to earn it,
is.
So I think when you got into a band and you sort of earned it, I felt like it was mine, and I even went through a phase too where if I really loved a band, especially like an underground band, and I'd go to high school and I'd be wearing the t-shirt or whatever, and people would ask me questions, be like, I'm not telling you, it's my band. Mine.
Right.
You felt like a part of something. Yeah. It was interesting. There was one band in particular, and I just Googled it to make sure that my memory was correct, but there was a band that I did that with, and to this day, I don't know if I actually liked it or if I liked it because I didn't have a choice, but the band was called Kilgore. I don't know if either of you remember that band.
I know. Yeah.
Yep. So the CD the album cover had like a baby on the front, like a baby doll head on the front or something, and I was like, damn, that looks cool. Let me check that out, and I got it. To this day, I'm telling you right now, I should go back and listen to it when this is over just to see if I liked it or not. But I don't know if I liked it or not.
I think that it's slim chance that current day Josh likes it. I think it's a very slim chance.
You'd be surprised though, because I hear some shit like that I used to like, and I'll fucking remember all the lyrics, all the shit, and I'll still like it. So I'm gonna go back and listen to it and just check it out.
So Kilgore used to be called Kilgore Smudge. The first show I ever went to was Kilgore Smudge.
No shit.
Yeah, it's the first show I ever went to, and I'm really good friends with the singer Jay.
Weird.
And that record you're talking about was their major label debut.
A Search for Reason. This is it.
Yeah, I love that record. If you like Faith No More, it's pretty similar. It's big, huge production, big, heavy guitars. He's got sort of like a what's one of the lines like, as I walk through the valley of the underworld, death time close behind, and behind him is chunky, chugging D-tune drop D guitars. But yeah, I used to go to every single one of their shows.
How weird is that?
I'd be hanging from the rafters, grabbing, singing along. Like, that's my first show ever was Kilgore Smudge that became Kilgore.
That is crazy.
And I auditioned for them when Jay quit.
No way.
He quit because he didn't want to tour anymore. They called me because I used to sing for a band called Corinne, and we used to open up for Kilgore Smudge. So we were all friends. I tried out for that band, and I was a little too gritty. I didn't have quite the voice they were looking for. And then 3 months later, we started Killswitch Engage. So I literally was trying to be the singer of Kilgore, didn't make the cut, and join Killswitch Engage.
Y'all are gonna think I researched this and I made this shit up.
That was a crazy tangent we just went on.
That is so weird.
And do yourself a favor, if you like rockabilly or any kind of like Johnny Cash, like
I love Johnny
Stray
Cash.
Cats. He started a band called Revival Preachers.
Yeah,
so good.
Really,
really, really good rockabilly, and I used to follow them around too. And then it was also Jay Burton and the Orphans is another kind of like rockabilly with a little bit of E Street Bruce Springsteen kind of style. But Jay Burnt, the singer of Kilgore, went on to do great music. I think he still owns a recording studio in Providence, analog to tape only, like rock and roll kind of stuff.
Wow.
But he's a very talented guy, and I love his rockabilly shit.
I didn't even realize y'all were from the same spot. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Fuck.
That's wild.
My first show ever was Kilgore's Munch.
That is some wild shit.
Wild.
That is really, really weird. Speaking of Killswitch, how did you first connect with those guys?
My band Corinne, who were kind of like back then it was called evil hardcore or devilcore or whatever.
Sure.
But I was not singing about, I was not a Satan worshiper. I didn't think that was cool. I was very much writing about dark stuff, dark poetry. You know, I loved death metal bands. I loved a band called Bloodlet. I was really into Integrity, like dark hardcore. But to me, it was poetry. It wasn't like, so we would play shows with Overcast, which, you know, Brian Fair, Mike D, and Aftershock, which is Joel and Adam.
Mm-hmm.
We're all in the same scene, playing shows with each other. And to me, anything Overcast did, I'm in. Like, I just loved Overcast. I used to go to all their shows. So I quit Corinne, or it fell apart. We started up another band called Nothing Stays Gold. Not a great band. But we put out an EP on Devil's Head Records, which is Toby, Adam D's brother, his record label.
Got it.
And then when that band kind of came and went, Adam reached out to me and was like, hey, I hear your band's no more. I'm working on like a compilation 7-inch where I want to have like 4 or 5 songs. And I'm like reworking Slayer songs to be like a Pink Floyd psychedelic metal version of like Rain and Blood or whatever. Would you be interested in working with me on one of these songs? Like, I think it'd be fun. Just, you're not doing anything and I'm trying to do this thing, put it out on my brother's record label. Are you interested? And I'm like, dude, totally. I'm not doing anything right now. I'd love to. That didn't really work out. And he's like, oh, so that project fell through. And this is me getting on a, phone call. We're sitting there on the phone, old school rotary phone, all that shit. Mm-hmm. And he's like, oh, well, it didn't work out, but I have a project with Mike from Overcast. I'm like, I'm in.
Say no more. When and where?
Well, we've been trying out singers. We've tried like 9 or 10 singers. Nobody seems to be working. Would you be down to like drive to Worcester and carpool, the other hour to Western Mass to check out a jam session? I'm like, dude, 100%. So yeah, I show up to Mike D's house and he opens the door. He's like, hey man, I know you. You're in that band Corinne, right? I was like, yeah, I used to be. He's like, oh, that's wild. So the hour drive out there, he's showing me bands like I've never heard of. In Flames. He puts on In Flames. I had no idea what they were. I'm like, oh, this band's cool. He's showing me all kinds of music because, he's a little older than I am. And he's like the elder hardcore guy. Mm-hmm. So we show up to the house. It's Joel's house, Joel's mom's house, because he still lives with his mom. He's 18 at the time. We go into his house, his mom greets us. We go up. Joel literally is just getting out of bed. Gets out of bed, puts on a guitar. Adam shows up with a huge 2-liter bottle of Diet Coke. He's chugging it. He's total spaz, big spiky blonde hair. And Mike D, big long dreadlocks. And they strap in their equipment and they start playing. And I grab a microphone plugged into a guitar amp. And I'm like, no rehearsal, didn't hear them. Just sat there, listened, and I was like, I'm going to freestyle what I know. Just going to, off the top of my head, show you what I can do. And within 5 songs, they were like, you're in.
Crazy.
That
is insane.
I feel like it's unlikely that you could feel it in that moment. But did you know there was something special about that group of guys making that music together? Could you tell right away, or did that not happen until later?
I thought what they were doing was incredible, but I don't think it registered. Because to me, Killswitch was a simpler version of all of our bands. Like, if you look at anything that Overcast did, or Corinne, if you can even find, I think on YouTube you can find the full album of my band, Corinne. Wow. And then, Overcast, Aftershock, we're all doing like 12 changes in a song.
Right.
It was back when like intricacy was like cool.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Killswitch scaled all that back and was more about the riff. It was more about the song. So as I was jamming with him, I thought it was cool, but I was in the back of my head too. I was like, it's kind of simple shit. Like it didn't feel like I was waiting for Overcast. I was waiting for Aftershock, and it was simpler. So to me, it was fun. It was like, okay, there's a lot of room for me to do vocals here. And that's kind of where it all started for me. It was like taking the cassette tape recordings that we were doing home and figuring out like what I was going to say over this stuff, because there was so much room for vocals there wasn't parts where I could just shut up and the guitar player's shredding. So that was different for me. And I didn't know immediately. I just thought, oh, this is cool. I'm in a band with these fucking awesome musicians. Hopefully we can play on the weekends and have a good time.
Right.
Was Corinne primarily singing or screaming, or was it both?
With like weird moaning, Gregorian chanty kind of dark vocals. Very much screaming, and two guitar players, one that was very chuggy and heavy and one that was very black metal-y and a lot of reverb and just dark poetry. Good mixture, like legitimately metal core, hardcore and metal.
Right.
So no sing-songy choruses, none of that like catchy sing-along, none of that. Just the only hooks were screaming. At
what point did you decide that you could implement those catchy choruses in?
I tried in a band called Nothing Stays Gold, which was the band after Corinne, which you can find that on the internet, but it's awful. I mean, I didn't know how to carry a tune, but I was trying,
Yeah, sure.
I was trying, and, I'd say there's probably 2 good songs on that 6-song EP. But, at the time, I was getting into bands like European melodic bands like Edge of Sanity, My Dying Bride, Paradise Lost, sort of the gothic, what would inspire bands like Opeth and In Flames and that whole scene. I was getting into that, and I was also obsessed with Faith No More, Mike Patton. Anything Mike Patton did, I was, I'd worship at the altar of his voice and what he was
genius.
doing. And I just loved that he would sing over parts that were really aggressive and like add in weird talking voices, yelling and then screaming. And he was just, to me, like, if I could be a portion of what he's doing, to me, that was interesting. I got burnt out on tough guy hardcore. I got burnt out on that scene we were in, and I wanted something more. And melody seemed to me like a really good idea. And also at the time, I was really getting into DC hardcore. Fugazi, Jawbox, Hoover is another band, like Discord Records, Ian MacKay's record label. Anything that label put out, I would buy. So I was really into like proto-emo indie rock as well. And I wanted to combine my love of European melodic metal, punk rock, hardcore metal, like just cherry picking from everything I liked. And I think that's eventually what became Alive or Just Breathing. All of us drawing from all these different influences. You could even throw death metal in there as well. And just trying to like come up with something that was unique, that felt genuine.
Attention musicians and aspiring music industry folks. For nearly 2 decades, Launch Music Conference and Festival has been gathering thousands of musicians, industry professionals, and music fans together for a weekend of learning and playing together.
Launch focuses on industry education by day and live music by night, with over 100 acts over 3 nights and 2 days of educational panels and networking with some of the most learned, approachable, influential, and aspiring industry pros.
Get to Launch and launch your career to new heights.
Party with the most fun people in the world and see tons of bands across all genres.
Take part in Launch in Dallas, Texas, October 2nd through 5th, 2025, or Launch in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, April 23rd through 26th, 2026.
Submit to perform, register for the weekend, or get music passes and tickets now at launchmusicconference.com.
Today's show is sponsored by Bestronix Pro Audio. Let's be real. Your rig is only as solid as the cables running through it. Whether you're touring the world or building out your dream setup at home, you need quality cables that won't let you down. That's where Bestronix Pro Audio comes in. BTPA specializes in full tour rig builds, custom cabling solutions, and if you're the hands-on DIY type, they've got bulk cable and connectors so you can wire up your own setup exactly how you want it. Everything they make is road-tested, built to last, and trusted by the pros. And because you're part of the Late for Load In crew, BTPA is giving you 10% off your order. Just use the code LFLI10 at checkout and save on the best cables in the business. So don't let bad cables kill your tone or ruin your set. Hit up btpa.com, lock in that discount, and keep your rig dialed and ready for the road. We all know that music isn't just sound, it's connection, it's healing, it's everything when you're feeling lost. That's why Late for Load In is partnering with Heart Support, the nonprofit founded by Jay Klurs of August Burns Red to bring real, free peer support straight to you.
Are you feeling down and need someone to talk to? Just text Late for Load In to 1-512-647-2871 and get connected with someone who understands. Someone who gets how music pulls us through the hardest times. It's totally free, totally judgment free, and 100% about supporting you through the music we love.
And if you're in a good place right now, you can be part of healing the scene. Heart Support is looking for volunteer repliers, fans like you who want to help others through the power of music. You'll be trained to support fellow fans who are struggling and join a community built on connection, mental health, and the music that keeps us going.
And again, if you need support, text Late for Load In to the number 1-512-647-2871. If you want to be support, sign up at heartsupport.com/volunteer. Together, we're making this scene stronger.
Today's episode is brought to you by you, our incredible listeners and patrons over at patreon.com/LFLIpod. By joining, you'll get early access to episodes, exclusive monthly giveaways featuring rare memorabilia from Josh and I's time on the road, and access to our patron-only music review and reaction live streams. But that's not all. You'll also get into the Late for Load In Road Crew Discord, where you can connect with fellow fans, submit guest requests, and drop your questions for the show. The best part? It's just $1 a month. If you love what we're doing and want to help keep the show rolling, head over to patreon.com/LFLIpod and join the road crew today. Now, back to the show.
When you decided you were going to implement that style of vocal, was it a conversation that you guys had, or did it just, you just did your thing and everybody was like, fuck, that sounds awesome?
It's kind of me just doing my thing and coming to the table with an idea. And then, you know, my other bands prior to Killswitch, everyone just, you do what you want, that's fine. We're not going to tell you what to do.
Sure.
When I got into Killswitch, you're talking about Adam D, who went to Berklee School of Music,
Right.
that has degrees, that is a fucking genius. I didn't
Right,
know that. I didn't know then, but he's a total genius. So when I started to work with him, he was like, I like your idea, but try this, or maybe switch your note here during that part. He was teaching me, unbeknownst to me, music theory at a very young age, where I had I still to this day cannot read music. I know music theory now, but a lot of that had to do with the years I've worked with Adam D, because his brain is just, he's a great songwriter. He's a great producer. He's a great engineer. And he can't help himself. So prior to Killswitch, it was just me throwing shit and seeing what stuck, what sounded cool. And then when I got into Killswitch, there was instruction.
Sure.
There was people who were like, you can do better. Let's figure out how you can do better. And school was in session. So it wasn't just a band, you know, especially as we progressed with Alive or Just Breathing. That was like a difficult record for me to make because Adam demanded it be good. It was his first chance as a producer on a big label for him.
Yeah, it's a big deal.
And I don't think I appreciated at the time how crucial his instruction was and how much he really helped me develop as a vocalist. So yeah, those early days were difficult, but so crucial.
I was actually going to ask, you know, when you're younger and your art, your music, whatever, like it feels so personal. It almost like physically hurts to have somebody tell you like what you're doing with your art like isn't the best it could be. Like, how did you deal with, like, were you open to hearing that feedback right away, and just were you like down to give it a shot, or did it take you a while to like fully accept that there may be someone else in the room that has valuable input on what you might feel like is like that's your baby, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Was that tough for you?
I think you know, I'm not gonna lie, there were definitely moments where I felt, I don't know if I want to use the word hurt, bummed out, like,
Sure. Yeah.
my idea is not great. But then the more we worked together, it was just so obvious to me. Listen to this guy. He's not doing it to be a dick. He's actually trying to make you do better.
Right.
And I got that from all those guys. And from the jump, it was like, this isn't just a band for fun. Even though we started out like, just, we're going to play weekends. When we turned that corner, our first EP came out, which is very bare bones, raw. We recorded it in like 4 or 5 days, like just put it out on Fire Records, play weekends. But when that shift happened where Roadrunner Records came knocking, and we were all like, well, this is our opportunity. That's really when I kind of leaned in more, like, help me. I've got an idea.
Yes.
I'm welcoming you. Like, let's make this better. I know you're good at this. What can I do with this?
Right.
That's how Alive or Just Breathing was the moment where the feedback was taken.
Well, that's that's one of the superpowers of being in a band, if you're willing to allow it, is that you're a team all working towards the same goal, right? And so it's like, as long as everybody's willing to say what I am contributing here isn't too precious for somebody else to come in and help me make it the best form that it can be, like, that is the superpower. You got 5 brains working together, or 4 brains, however many members you have. Like, that is the superpower of being in a band, in my opinion, is that you all can work together towards that common goal of, like, we just want this music we're putting into the world to be the absolute best that it can be in all respects. And it's like it took me personally, I asked because I was curious, because I really struggled with that when I was younger, bringing something to the table and having somebody tell me that either A, didn't like it, or B, even just wanting to like tweak something about it. Everything about that always felt like a jab, like a personal attack almost. And looking back, it's just me being young and immature, right? But I don't know, it's tough. But as I've gotten older and made more records and worked with more people, I've like realized that, like, man, the more you're willing to just let everybody be a part of every part of the process, like, that's where the real magic happens, for sure.
Well, that and playing to your strengths.
Yes.
If you're good at something and people know it, like, I know I can write good lyrics. I know I have a way of relaying a message. Am I the best singer? No, I've gotten better because of instruction and humility. And, it's listening to people who are, like you said, if there's someone who's better at something in the room and they're on your team, let them do their thing.
Yeah.
Kill the ego. It's not about you. It's about the collective. And,
Sure.
I would even say I'm still learning that lesson on this last record, the one we just put out. Man, I had a tough time. I had to let go of like 7 demos, I think. Talk about a false start. I've never in my career had 7 of my ideas shot down. That was hard, a hard pill to swallow. But when I worked through that, I came out on the other side so much better for it and delivered a record that I wouldn't have done if I hadn't gotten the criticism.
Sure.
Yeah.
So now I welcome it. Kill my art. If it sucks, let it go. Or maybe I'll just do something with it later, or give it to somebody else. Or doesn't work for what you're doing and the people you're on the project with don't like it, let it die.
And you said in passing there something that I think is an important thing for like, especially younger people getting in this too, is like, maybe I'll use it for something later. Like it maybe what you're presenting doesn't connect right now and it doesn't land and it's not right for what you're doing right now, but that doesn't mean that it won't be next time around. Like, you don't even have to, if it helps you, you don't have to think about killing it. Just like set it to the side for now. We'll come back to that one next time around. Let's focus on what is more in our lane at the moment. You know what I mean? I do think that's an important
hard
thing.
drive and revisit it in a year.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
When you guys were making Alive or Just Breathing, did you realize that something special was happening there? Like, did you realize the impact that record was going to have? Because I remember when we heard it from a listening perspective, and it felt like enormous. It felt like
in every way.
It felt like the fucking gates had opened. Like, it was incredible. So I'm curious if you guys internally felt that, or if it was kind of you adapted to it as it happened.
Adapted as it happened. We were just dudes trying to put out a cool record. And our hope of hopes was like, maybe we can get a year out of this, like maybe, again, for me, I'm all about, I was like, weekend warrior. Let's play Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I go back to my job and my bills are paid.
Right.
To take that leap into touring was scary for me. And when we decided we were going to give it a year, we all know what history has to say about that year. I didn't last. I did not last. I was not ready for it. And I don't think I had the wherewithal to the impact that record had, the potential career I could have had. I jumped ship. I was not ready for it. Not
what was it that was it any single thing, or was it just the whole accumulation of it all?
It was a lot at once. It happened fairly quickly.
Right.
And I think for me, a few things. Number one, I didn't have a really good sense of who I was. I mean, 22, 23 years old, but I had severe social anxiety. I had depression. I didn't know. Like, these are things I didn't know. I didn't have a language for it.
Sure.
I didn't do well with talking to people, so I would hide a lot in the van. You're supposed to sit at merch after. I hated doing that. I dreaded selling T-shirts. In the early days, too, before we toured, I would show up to the show right before we had to play the set, and leave. I'd bail.
Really?
Like, I just couldn't be. When the shows that I played, I would bail. The shows I wasn't playing, I was in the scene. I was part of the scene. I was a scene kid.
Right.
When we played our shows, I had a hard time talking to people and being present. So when you put something like that on the road,
Yeah.
no self-confidence, and on top of it, I'm doing hardcore style. I'm doing like the hardest I could possibly push. Like to me, louder is better. So my death metal growls were full volume. I'm sure my vocal folds were smashing together.
Right.
So by Saturday, if we're doing a weekend of shows, by Saturday, on Monday morning, I go to my work and I'm fucking shot. But I have Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday to recover. Put me out on the road and we're doing shows back to back. I'm losing this shit. That's contributing to my mental state of mind. Like, I fucking suck. I can't do this. I'm depressed. I have anxiety. I have social anxiety. I was miserable.
Did people interpret that as you being a dick when you were
Probably.
just kind of, and you were, and you were just trying to internalize and deal with it all?
Yeah. You know, it got to the point where, you know, I was the dark cloud. You know, I'd be in the van playing Grand Theft Auto 3 or like taking a nap, and those dudes would come in from the show drunk, having the time of their lives, enjoying this,
Yeah.
you know, the bands that played and socializing, and they come in the van and I'm just like, gotta go to the next show. This sucks. My voice hurts. Nothing good to say. So, and that's when I just kind of like took myself out. I was like, I'm out. I can't do this. It's gonna get really dark for me, and I wasn't enjoying it. And I knew I was dragging those guys down. But unfortunately, I didn't have the maturity, the wherewithal to like approach them and say,
Right.
I'm having problems. But so I just bailed. And I sent them an email when I got home. It's the worst. Dude, we all know the story if you've read it. It's awful. So I don't regret leaving, but I regret the way that I did leave. It was it was a cowardly way because I just didn't know how to deal with it. And I spiraled into a pretty dark depression after that.
But at that point too, though, you got to give you were a kid.
Yeah, I was.
Your entire life had basically changed. I call it a claw machine. You've been claw machine from one life into the next, and you just didn't know. You were trying to deal with it the best way you could, and you just didn't know what to do.
Sure didn't.
You know?
And I mean,
so
we're also talking about like a societal and generational difference of back in that time too. Is like our parents didn't grow up in a time where they talked about their emotions and how to process any of that shit. I do feel fortunate that like my mom is pretty in touch with a lot of stuff, and she always has been most of my life, but she's got her own mental health issues, and I've struggled with depression and anxiety my entire life. So has my dad. And like, but you know, for most people, their parents weren't raised by people who were talking about emotions and things like that, and their parents definitely weren't. You know, like it's a generational thing that like up until somewhat recently it didn't become societally okay to even discuss that, you know? So
especially as a dude.
Right.
I mean, my dad was raised that only girls cried.
Yes.
And for me, like I've seen my dad cry twice in his entire life. You know, like I dudes didn't cry.
Right.
According to his dad and the way he was raised, you know? So yeah, now it's becoming more socially acceptable to be, you know, what's the word? I don't want to say a word and get myself canceled, but vulnerable. There you go. You know, like yeah. So,
yeah, but I mean, at the time that you know, Killswitch is taken off, and you're trying to like, you know, process all of this, and like, it's totally understandable that you just wouldn't have been equipped with the proper tools or vocabulary or whatever it may be to even start to express to somebody what you're going through. Like, that's just not where we were as people at that point in time. You know what I mean?
I probably would have sent an email too now if I think back about it.
I'll be honest, I might not have sent anything at all. I might have just fucking disappeared. You know what I mean? Like that's like truly
right.
If I felt like I had no way to like, you know, articulate how I was feeling, and I truly felt like I was dragging everyone down, which I have definitely have felt that way before at many points in my life, then I might have just disappeared. But
I didn't know how to deal with it. My way of dealing with things was to run away, to hide, to get away from the confrontation. Funny enough, though, you know, I'm going to say about a week and a half, 2 weeks after I quit in the band, had to drive home from Seattle, where my brother picked me up. He was living in Seattle at the time. He picked me up and pulled me away from that last show. I didn't even sing the last show. I didn't even have a voice to sing. I was broken. MTV wanted to interview Killswitch Engage, and management and the record label were like, the least you could do is show up for these guys, be in the interview, just so we can get this traction and they can find a new person and move on. You owe them at least that. So I showed up to a record store in New York City, seeing those guys for the first time since I quit and disappeared. And I had to do an interview on MTV and pretend like I was still in the band. It was the most awkward, talking about socially awkward. I think I was sweating from every orifice in my body.
Holy shit. I didn't know that.
Yeah,
were
and
the
Mike,
dudes?
he was wearing sunglasses the whole time. He wouldn't speak to me, wouldn't even look at me. And the whole time I'm being extremely self-deprecating in the interview. It was, if you could ever find in the archives, I'm not even sure if it's online anymore, but awkward. So
Jesus.
So what happened after that? Like when that interview was over and you went your own ways, was that the last time you talked for a while?
For a little bit, but Adam D would always reach out to me and call me and be like, "Hey,
cool.
bud, we just got Howard. You remember Howard from Blood Has Been Shed?" I'm like, "Oh, that's awesome! Thank God you guys got somebody to step in. Very cool." A couple months later, "Hey, dude, I'm hammered. What are you doing? I'm just thinking about you. This shit's getting crazy out here. Like, we're blowing up. This is great. Wish you were here, but I understand you're not. Like, hope you're well." Every once in a while, he would just check it. Like, so sweet.
That's cool.
Didn't have to do that, but him and Joel, they always, and then eventually, as time passed, Mike forgave me, and he's like, I hate the way you left, but blah, blah, blah. And I went to go see them play with Howard, and I wore like a hooded sweatshirt and a winter cap and watched the set. And like after I went up to them, I was like, "Yo, that was wild. Like, wow, you guys are just doing it. And Howard's killing my songs. Like, it made me really happy.
Yeah.
Happy for you guys. And I'm sorry." Like, so early on, the trying to patch that up within the first year and a half. And then I kind of, I was singing for a band called Seamless at the time and started to play more shows and looking over and peeking at Killswitch's career and be like, "Holy shit, they're blowing the fuck up." And I'm playing dive bars with my rock and roll band. I'm like, you know what? I dug my own grave. It's cool. I can deal with it. But as time went on, I got the bug. And I was like, okay, time to go back on tour again. Most people don't know this. I've said it a few times, but when I had the opportunity to tour again, I was excited. I was with a different kind of band, more stoner rock, Black Sabbath, Soundgarden-y kind of stuff, so my voice could handle it a little better. So what we did was, Killswitch was graduating to tour buses, so that van that I used to hide in and have mental breakdowns in, my band Seamless bought that van.
So sick.
So when I went back on tour, I went back in that same exact van.
That's crazy.
Faced my demons and ended up falling in love with touring in that van until it broke down and blew a gasket or whatever. So
what a way to like close that chapter.
Full circle moment for sure.
So cool. That's crazy. Yeah, I didn't know any of that. That's wild.
What do you think was different that time though? Like the second time around, what was different then?
I think being away from all of it and then coming in under the radar with a different band that was different sound, different scene.
Sure.
Touring with bands like Fu Manchu, Valiant Thor, more like rock and roll, where it felt less pressure.
Yeah.
And the whole idea behind this band when we started was, let's play a bar for a beer tab and go have fun.
Right.
And I was like, oh shit, that sounds like a lot of fun to me. Like, I'm working 3 jobs back to back. When I quit Killswitch, I went right back into the workforce, and I had to work 3 jobs to make up for all the money I didn't make.
Right.
So all I wanted to do on weekends was go to shows, drink beer, have fun. I wanted to have fucking fun. And this was a good way to do it and not have to pay for the beer and just sing some rock and roll. So that eased me back into it.
Was Seamless on a label?
Yeah, Equal Vision Records, which was a hardcore record label. We didn't belong on there at all.
My old band was signed to Equal Vision Records. That's crazy. I was in a band called Texas in July, and we were on.
Oh yeah, I know Texas. Yeah,
that's wild. I had no clue that you guys were on Equal Vision. I love the Equal Vision team. They're good people.
Didn't.
That's wild. Well, I was going to ask if maybe it felt like less pressure if there wasn't a label involved, but you had Equal Vision, but maybe because it wasn't big. Industry machine, Roadrunner Records breathing down your neck. Like, do you think that, I don't know, just the people that was surrounding the band made it feel like there was less pressure in general?
Yeah, and Steve from Eagle Vision is such a chill
dude, the nicest guy.
Yeah, so the pressure really wasn't there. I was just having fun, and the band did okay. We had a couple major label offers, and we went through that whole phase of like trying to get signed to a bigger label, and falling flat on our face, you
Sure.
know, and having to pay money to quit the band because we had credit card debt.
Ugh.
And
Yeah,
it was
sure.
awful. But all of that built character, and it gave me that idea of like, oh, touring can be fun
Right.
if you can handle it, you know. And I think mentally I handled it better, and then physically with my voice I got a little better. I'm still losing it here and there, but on the whole it was a more enjoyable experience. And then right back into the working class again, you know. I started out valet parking cars at a medical facility and just took all of my drive and all of my energy that I wanted to pursue music and a career into this job. And then I ended up moving up the ranks in a medical facility and became like a guy with a desk that was in charge of people. So 4 years at this medical facility, and just miserable, soulless, soul-sucking job.
That's crazy.
But I still played music. I had a band called The Empire Shall Fall during that time, and that was like a mixture of like hardcore, a little bit of jazz, metal. Before djent was a term, we were
Sure.
we were Meshuggah worshipers with like blending like Immortal Technique, hip hop style lyrics
Wow,
and
interesting.
conspiracy theory with this heavy music. And that's what I did on weekends. And I worked at the medical facility during the week. And that was my life for like 4 years.
Killswitch didn't have like a gradual, you know, they put out a few EP, a couple records on a label, and then they signed to the major. They went from the EP straight to Roadrunner.
Yep, second
Like,
release. So
fucking
Ferret
cannonballed
Records
straight into the
was
industry.
an hardcore label, and they signed
Yeah.
us for the first record. Carl from Ferret worked at Roadrunner Records in the. So if you went to Roadrunner Records back in the day in New York City, you open the door, it's like a room full of people with their cubicles, and that was Roadrunner Records. He was one of those guys. I think he was doing social media or whatever. And when he would sign a band to his label, he would like let people in the office hear it. And Mike Gitter, one of the head A&R guys, heard our music and was like, what is this? And that's kind of when the buzz happened. So it was first release, Ferret. The interest in from Roadrunner came very shortly after that. And we got signed. It all happened pretty damn quick.
That's so nuts.
So
That's so nuts.
that makes a little bit of sense as to why it was, because, you know, you went from weekends to fucking in it.
Yeah, I mean,
All the
you
way
went,
in it.
Yeah, 0 to 100, like
Yeah.
fully 0 to 100.
Oh, yeah.
With no time to get your sea legs or whatever the hell. Like you had to, like, you didn't get a chance to fucking ease into touring. You know, like you can't really go from weekends to doing month-long tours and not expect there to be like some growing pains. So that totally
It's
makes
hard.
sense.
And, you know, what was wild to me, and I'll never forget when this happened, people following me to talk to me and want to take a picture with me and want me to sign something. And I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Like, we didn't do that in hardcore.
Right.
You get on stage, you go sell t-shirts, and the people who are in the audience get up on stage and play the show. Like, we're all just the same.
Right.
And that was my first introduction into like rock star-ish kind of
Right.
stuff. I hated it. I
Yeah.
hated it.
How do you handle that now?
It's fine.
I feel like I've picked up from you the 2 times that I fanboyed out to you now that you might still not love it so much, but I can't not do it because I feel it in my soul that I need to tell you how much I appreciate what you've done. But I feel like I can feel it from you that you still don't love it so much, which is understandable. It's a weird feeling to have somebody treat you like you're different when you don't yourself feel like you're different.
I'm grateful, and
Sure.
I realize that it's not about me.
Yeah.
For example, if we pull up to a venue and the tour bus pulls up and there's somebody there already with like a backpack and like an album in their hand and they're like, I will go right to that person.
Yep.
If I come off stage, I come out of the showers and I'm going to the tour bus and there's 30 people around the tour bus, I say hello, I'll be right back, guys. I'm just going to drop my bags. I come back and I stay there till everyone gets what they need.
Yep.
And I'm comfortable with it because, again, it's not about me. These people care so much about what we do. They take their time, their hard-earned money. They get babysitters. They take time off work. They drive. On this last tour, we're talking people that drove 12 hours. Like, I met people that live up in the Arctic Circle in Canada that left their First Nation place where they live in the First Nations drove all the way down through the Arctic to come see us. And we're like so excited. Like that kind of stuff just reminds me of stay humble, listen to what people have to say, and just take it on, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
But every once in a while, it gets to me. And that's usually when people share with me their deep, dark stuff and tell me what the music and lyrics have done. It just goes so far beyond rock star anything that it just becomes a human connection through art that is so important. Where I feel like the hour and a half we're on stage or whatever, that's the small part of the job. That's kind of, I don't want to say it's easy, but that's like the fun sort of like, that's what we do. It's the other 22 and a half hours of how you carry yourself, how your mind is, how your mental health is, how you interact with fans, like all that stuff. That's the important stuff.
Yeah.
So for me,
totally.
The fan interaction thing, I think I'm pretty damn good at it because I recognize it for what it is. It's not me going, oh yeah, I'm the shit. Check me out.
Totally.
It is 100% me holding space for people, and I'm honored to do that. As tired as I might be, I might be going through a horrible thing back at home, which through touring I have. You miss birthdays, you miss holiday, and I'm not in a good headspace, and I see people like put aside your bullshit, take time for these people, and just let it rock. And sometimes I'll get back on the bus and I'll fucking cry because someone just told me that they survived a violent rape because of this song. Yeah, and I will sit there and I'll take it and I'll let them sob and I'll hold them. And it happens a lot to me. So I'm honored. As difficult as it may be, I'm honored. And my social anxiety for that stuff is gone. I don't have it anymore. It doesn't affect me. I've done it long enough and I've realized how important it is to people who call themselves fans, that the social anxiety is gone. It's not about me.
For sure.
What do you do to like not carry some of that weight with you though? Because some of those stories are intense and they're hard. I used to tour manage.
Sometimes,
I tour managed Motionless in White for a long time, and we did one Warped Tour. Chris was doing these like what are they? They're like, I don't want to call them a class, but they were like more of a meet and greet.
Was it a band happy thing?
Yeah, I think it was called Band Happy, but regardless, we would have to listen to some dark stuff that some of these kids and these people had gone through, and I was just listening because I was TMing him and I was sitting with him through it, and I could feel some of the weight, so I can imagine how he would deal with it. So I'm curious, how do you, like, what kind of coping mechanisms, for lack of better terms, do you use to kind of not carry that weight with you into your own personal life?
Yeah. First and foremost, shout out to Chris from Motionless. What a sweet, genuine human being.
He's the best.
Yeah. My interactions with him have been amazing.
He's fantastic.
I love that guy. On this last tour, I think maybe 4 or 5 people know this. I had a little bit of a breakdown after hearing something. And I called my dad. I was talking to my dad on the phone, and I know when I heard his voice, I was holding on to it, and it hit me, and I just kind of lost it. And he spent many years as a minister, listening to people confess their sins,
sure,
counseling people. And he's done like 70 funerals. This guy's he's been in the trenches with humans for a long time, and now he's retired. Thankfully, he can rest a little bit, but very wise man. And, it just says you have to find a way to not let it stay on you, because I believe in spiritual energy. People are followed around by dark and light, and sometimes that dark lingers. So a healthy way to deal with it is exercise. I love long walks, getting on my bike and just sweating and getting out and just going or writing. I'll write poetry in my bunk, or I'll just zone out and put on like, something stupid like Family Guy or South Park and just do something dumb and laugh and distract my brain. Or there are nights where I've gone out with friends, had a couple beers and got emotional and shared some of those stories. I don't say names, I don't show pictures, but I just have to let some of it out and talk to somebody. And then just let it out. And then when you talk to people who understand what that's like, whether it be a therapist or, your friend who's gone through something, or another guy in a band that has to deal with that. That's good too. But my go-to is usually exercise. Like get out and just move. I love on tour. My favorite things to do, getting up and just going for a long ass walk. I love it. Headphones on, or headphones on, but they're not on, but just so no one talks to me, so I can just zone.
That's one of my favorite things on a plane to do ever.
Dude, walks, I genuinely think, saved my life during the pandemic, man. Like, outside of just the pandemic itself, there were some outside circumstances that like made it like one of the darkest time periods in my life. And I genuinely don't think that had I not just like got out and gone on long walks on a daily basis, I'm not sure I would have made it through. Like it was tough times, and like genuinely something as simple as that, literally it can like completely change where your head's at. It's wild.
Yeah, I've had that conversation with a lot of people. Howard Jones is another one who loves long walks. We talked about that. It's something about it, like a couple miles into a walk and like your endorphins are kicking, you start to think clearer.
Yep.
Things make sense. And I've found it with a lot of men. It's a guy thing. I don't know. I'm sure it applies to different people, but majority of people that I've talked to, like if a guy goes out for a long walk, you can solve a lot of your problems. Just get out there and walk and be alone.
Yeah, for sure. So I want to go into a little bit of Times of Grace stuff now real quick, because I really, 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 really loved the first record was Hymns of a Broken Man. Is that correct?
Yeah, Hymn of a Broken Man.
So obviously being as impacted by Alive or Just Breathing as I was super stoked to see that you and Adam were writing music together again. How did that come into the picture? Because I know that's like an extremely personal record to him. That was like he wrote a lot of that during the time he was recovering from a pretty serious back surgery. Is that true?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So at what point did he ask you to like, get involved in that, and what was that process like for you?
So it was 2008. I was valet parking cars at said medical facility. Came home from tour with Seamless Broke with my tail tucked between my legs, thinking for a little while there that maybe I was done. At least for touring, maybe I gotta like figure my life out. So I remember coming home. I knew Adam was stuck in the hospital in London for like a couple weeks recovering. We had talked here and there. I would, that relationship of him calling me, checking on me, and vice versa, we just kept in touch. He's always been a dear friend. When he got back home, we had a conversation, and he's like, I got something really weird to tell you. I kind of wrote a record, and I don't think I want to give it to Killswitch. It doesn't feel like a Killswitch record. It's kind of something I wanted to do on my own, but I don't know how to write lyrics. I just need your help. Like, could you help me with this project? I'm not sure what it's going to be, but I just need something. And like, man, getting home from my shift, sitting on the porch with like a beer, getting that phone call, I was like, holy shit, this is a great opportunity. Even if nothing comes from it, the fact that he's reaching out and asking me to help him, I felt so honored. Like,
yeah,
holy
absolutely.
Shit. I was like, well, just send me this, a CD or whatever. Send me a CD. I think it was like 7 songs. And I put that on, and I remember sitting there. I was living with my parents too. I moved home broke. I had to move back in with my parents. My wife, my ex-wife and I, we had to move out of Rhode Island and move up to New York, which is how I got to New York, and move back in with my parents for a year. And I'm like, 28, something like that. Just like a grown man moving home again with my wife. It's like I was at the door, like, just like, I'm a failure. I felt like a fucking failure. So to get that phone call and to get that CD and to hear what, he's come up with, and I'm like, oh, this is amazing. Yeah, dude. I think I wrote Where the Spirit Leads Me within the first couple days of hearing the music to that. And, he's like, I don't know, what your schedule is. I was like, dude, I'm a working class stiff. Like, I have Saturday and Sundays off. He's like, well, I'm home from tour in like a month. I've got a couple weekends. Let's get together and just hash some stuff out. Like, record some stuff. Like, what do you think? So from 2008 to 2010, through my work schedule and his tour schedule, we made that record happen. And it was mostly him. He just shelled out the money. He would pay for me to come up. I would stay with him. He would buy me, because I was broke. He would buy me dinner, buy me drinks. And I would just party with my buddy. And we made this record. And that record, you want to talk about saving lives? That record saved my fucking life. I was suicidal. I was in the darkest place. As a matter of fact, the song, I always forget this, End of Days. End of Days is a suicide note. There's excerpts of a suicide note I was writing to my ex-wife and my family that made lyrics of that song. That's what that song is about. I was sitting in a park. I lived in Yonkers, New York at the time. I was sitting in a park watching the leaves fall. And it just felt like, well, that's how I feel. I'm ready to just end it all. So his timing and that record couldn't have been better. And it just brought me back up from my knees to my standing position again, to find my purpose, to go, okay, I'm going to take my pain and my agony and turn it into something that can keep me going. And Adam was he has no idea. I mean, I've told him, but he has no idea how much he just brought me back to life with that record. And then fast forward to, this album's sitting on a shelf somewhere because Killswitch is active.
Yep.
Howard Jones kind of exits the picture suddenly. Phil from All the Remains is filling in on vocals for their tour. Adam's like, hey, dude, what do you think of doing some Killswitch songs? Live Just Breathing era. Phil's going to do the Howard stuff. You do your stuff. 4 shows. Can you get the time off work? I'm like, dude, what? So first time in my life, I boarded a tour bus ever. Playing with all the knobs and switches in my bunk. Like, whoa! At the time, DVD player. You're like, whoa! Played those 4 shows with those guys. I got to meet Josh, who still works for the band. Alan, who's now our tour manager, that was our merch guy. Being in that camp, being around that energy, and then standing on stage for the first time that first night and hearing the roar and the people who were like, oh shit, because it was not announced. I just came on stage and did my last song, and like, people were losing their minds. And it was this sense of like, they didn't forget me. Like, people still give a shit about me. It's not just the band, like me. Holy shit. And then hanging out with the crew and being on the tour bus, and I was like, what a fucking cool, like, tour buses are awesome. Like, what a cool way to tour. Holy shit. I love this. So much fun. So then Killswitch kind of goes on a hiatus, and Adam's like, well, now's our chance. Time's of grace. Let's release this thing. Okay, cool. Studio record. Never thought in a million years we would tour on or do anything with it. Roadrunner Records decides to grab it, put it out. And Roadrunner's like, well, Killswitch is on hiatus, so go play some shows. Like, see what happens. Go do some tours. So I got on a tour bus and started touring with Killswitch for my first time ever going to Europe, ever. And just seeing the world through different eyes, if I can be a cheeseball and quote myself. And that record was the turning point for everything for me. And I wanted Times of Grace to continue on forever. Like, that was I was like, this is awesome.
Yeah.
But it didn't.
Yeah. That's, I still think that specifically that first record is violently underrated. Like, it's interesting to hear you talk about the place that you were in when you were writing those songs, because I feel like part of what draws me to it so much is I can feel, when I listen to that record, I feel every bit of like that pain and like agony. And I don't know, I just there's a couple records that I can think of that when I put them on, I just am transported into like the place that the people who created the record were in, and I feel like that is very much one of them. And just for whatever reason, from the very first time that I hit play on that record, I was like, holy shit, like, this is whatever this is, I need more of it. I wanted you guys to keep going. I didn't want the band to ever stop, So I love that rerecord. I have lyrics from that record tattooed on me. Like, I love that record.
Wow.
I think it's seriously very underrated. If anybody's listening to this and hasn't listened to that record, you should stop this podcast right now and go listen to that. But then come back and finish the episode. But definitely
come back and finish the episode. He got a lot more cool shit to say.
Yeah,
you don't want to hear what Chris has to say.
No, skip what I'm saying right now.
I'm done listening to it myself.
All right, get fucked, you asshole. So So you had to put together a live band then. Who did you guys get with? So did Joel play for you guys for a minute too?
Joel was like the guy. Yeah. Adam was like, because Joel's doing nothing.
Right.
Killswitch isn't touring, and Adam and Joel are like, two peas in a pod. Like,
Yeah.
they are the guys. So I was super excited when he's like, I think I'm going to get Joel. I was like, dude, yeah.
So sick.
And the original bass player was Daniel, who used to be in a band called 5.0.
Yep.
Who's a great vocalist, great bass player. And he when he joined, it was like, and I'm seeing his talent. And he could do all the backup vocals, the growls. He did it all. Because we put this record together not thinking we're going to play it. So there's certain things that we had to reproduce that were really difficult to do. And then we tried out a bunch of drummers. And then through management, we met this guy, Dan, who, toured with us. And then Dan is the actual drummer on the second record. He recorded drums on the second record. And if we ever did anything with that band ever again, he's part of the band now, Dan. We love him. And then Daniel, the bass player, couldn't really hang with it. So then we got Matt Bichon from Shadows Fall, because Shadows Fall wasn't doing anything. So we pulled him in. And that's kind of the lineup that we ended up touring with a bunch, through Australia and Europe and US and all that. And it was some of the most fun I've ever had. It was so much fun touring with that band and being able to see the world. Like I've never seen Europe, playing festivals in Europe, never done it before.
Crazy.
So it was just wild, fun times.
That is definitely wild to think about, considering Alive or Just Breathing laid the groundwork for Killswitch to go on and do all the things they've done. And they've obviously, in that time period that you had stepped away from the band, had gone and done all of those festivals and stuff multiple times over. It's crazy to think that it took till touring on the Times of Grace stuff for you to get to experience that.
That's 2011. Yeah, it was the first time I got through the world.
That's wild.
I don't remember if we talked about this. How many Killswitch tours did you do before you realized that it was enough? Did we talk about this already?
So we did Weekend Warrior. No, we didn't. We did Weekend Warrior stuff. Then we did a 2-week tour with Every Time I Die.
Yeah.
In a band called Santa Sangre, which was fun. I remember that being a lot of fun. But, we're playing in front of like 15, 20 people, maybe.
Sure.
And then the major tour was the first major tour, which is, not just a weekend, not just 2 weeks, but a full month.
Yeah.
And that's when I bailed.
I'm out of here.
Yeah.
So yeah, very early on, pretty much.
The first tour after Alive Just Breathing came out.
Yeah.
First tour. Gone.
Yeah. Wild. Well, I guess coming back to, you mentioned already that that Howard stepped away from the band, and you did the Killswitch Engage shows where you were coming out and doing
Killswitch Engage. That's pretty clever. Did you just come up with that?
No, dude, it was all over the internet back in the day. I'm not taking credit for that.
That's pretty good. I hadn't heard that. That's pretty clever. I like that. Somebody deserves a lot of credit.
Probably Phil.
Did you do? Wasn't there a whole run of Alive or Just Breathing anniversary shows?
So yeah, after I rejoined the band, which I didn't. So I had posed to them because I found out. I assumed that Times of Grace would continue on.
Sure.
Which is kind of dumb of me because Killswitch is a legacy band. Of course they're going to continue on. And management was like, all right, well, Times of Grace is taking a little bit of a break. Killswitch is now going to start back up. Do you have any interest? And I actually still have the email. Do you have any interest in coming back? And I said, I just don't know if I have the wherewithal to, number one, wrap my head around singing Howard's song, because I've never sang anyone's lyrics. And then, we're such different vocalists. I don't know if I can handle his vocals. To me, he was like an opera singer versus me. He was like a hardcore kid that kind of was eking his way through melodic vocals. And underneath all that, I wanted more than anything for Times of Grace to keep going. So I turned it down. I was like, I don't think I'm the guy. I just don't know if... Yeah, I listen to songs like And a Heartache and My Curse, and that's not my wheelhouse. I don't write like that. It's not really my thing. It's a little poppy, Sure. And now where I am now, it totally makes sense. But so I kind of turned it down, and those guys were bummed. And in my mind, I'm like, okay, so Times of Grace can continue on, right?
Yeah, sure.
Nope. So I had to go get a job, and Adam's like, I'm sorry, dude, we got to keep going. I still want to do Times of Grace when we can, but Killswitch has to keep going. So I had to go find a job. So I pounded the pavement with my resume in hand and got another job and went back to the workforce. And during that time, they tried to move forward with Killswitch, but we're having a hard time. And then the bass player of my band, The Empire Shall Fall, which I was still playing shows with on weekends, hits me up and he's like, dude, did you see this article on MySpace or whatever the fuck it was? I don't know. They're auditioning new singers. I'm like, what? That's wild. Okay, shit, that's crazy. And then that night, I was working my shift at the bar in Manhattan. I was bar backing in Manhattan, working up to becoming a mixologist bartender with the mustache and the arm. I was going in. I was like, now I'm a bartender. A guy recognized me. He's like, didn't you used to sing for Killswitch? And I remember thinking to myself, oh, fuck, man. Yep, yeah, I did. Hi, how you doing? Just cleaning spit out of glasses, washing stuff. Yeah, cool. And it kind of struck me. And I texted Vaughn, who's the manager of Killswitch, which he was still kind of managing me here and there through times of grace. I was like, you know what? Can you put me on the list of auditions? I know I turned the gig down, but maybe we could do it like an elaborate just breathing reunion thing, and then maybe I could give this a shot. I don't know. He's like, oh, I can tell you this. The guys don't want to just do an elaborate just breathing reunion, but if you were to rejoin the band, just know that you're going to sing Howard songs. We can't not do that. But they also have a new album musically ready to go. So you would come into the band with a new, working on a new record that's yours while singing the back catalog. And then we can talk about maybe a elaborate just breathing reunion. So long story short, I auditioned. We had so much fun. We did 15 songs. I fell in love with Howard's material through the song Arms of Sorrow. That was the first song that I'm like, that song is amazing. Lyrically, sonically, love it.
That's
great.
one of my favorite songs of the Howard era, for
So
sure.
good. To this day, so good.
Yeah.
And then after I rejoined, it was like, oh, okay, so on the 15-year anniversary, we're going to go to Australia and do an elaborate just breathing set. And I was like, that's awesome. So it's kind of like, get me back in the band, go tour Europe, do Metal Fest, and then put out this record, Disarm the Descent, which was overwhelming for me. I'm on tour. I'm trying to write a record. Like, it was just a whirlwind. That first year and a half of rejoining the band it's a blur. It's a blur of a bunch of fun shows and a lot of beer and a lot of hard work.
Yeah. I mean, so I guess I'm curious, with your hesitation to sing the Howard stuff, was it that you just felt like, your vocal style range was too different? Was it like the lyrical content was, you were worried you weren't going to be able to like find an emotional connection to that? Like what, all of it? Okay. Yeah, that's fair. I mean, we had Jake from August Burns Red on, and we were talking about how as a band, they kind of shared the duties of writing lyrics, but he like ultimately holds the veto card on something that if someone else brings him to the table, because he's like, look, I got to be the person to like deliver this message, to like to be the face behind this message. And it's like, if I can't find a way in my soul to connect with these words, then like I just can't sing it. Yeah. So like I can totally understand being like, look, it's great material, but I just don't know if I can find the emotional connection within myself to sing somebody else's words. I could totally understand that.
I'll say this though, once I did join the band and once I started getting on the road and touring and being away from family and friends and living that life, End a Heartache and My Curse make total sense to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I fell in love with certain songs, like This Is Absolution. I love that song.
Yep.
I remember hearing that, like, because to be completely honest, I knew Killswitch's material-ish, but I wasn't really paying attention to metalcore at the time. I was really focused on hardcore and like what I was doing. But getting back to the band and sitting down for 2 weeks straight and listening to this shit every day before and after work, I was like, oh, I get it. These are great songs. So there was a little bit of ignorance there too. I was speaking out of ignorance, and probably a little bit of ego too. Like, I don't know if I can do this, but also also insecurity at the same time.
I was gonna ask that. Was there a fear because you mentioned opera style? Was there a fear for not being able to fill those shoes at all?
And to be fair, I know Howard hates that. He's not operatic. He's more bluesy, soulful, right. And I admire him so much as a vocalist. He's my boy. But at the time, to me, it sounded like such polished.
Yeah.
Vibrato, like I can't do that. I can now,
Yeah.
after a lot of training. But back then, I couldn't really do that. I tried. I eked my way through for the first couple of years.
I
But, I
remember.
really had to learn how to not only sing his songs, but do it my way.
Sure.
If that makes sense. Like,
Yeah, totally.
instead of aping what he was doing, like figure out how to do it with my voice. 'Cause
Yeah.
I have a higher my range is higher, which doesn't make sense to a lot of people. I think most people who don't know music really well, you hear his big, huge choruses, but his note choices aren't that high.
Right.
He just has thicker vocal folds, and it sounds richer and fuller and rounder. Where I can get, if I'm not singing properly, I can get kind of squeaky, and it's grating on the ears. So I've learned through technique and training how to keep my voice round now, so I can sing his stuff. It sounds similar, but you can tell it's me if you're listening with close ears. But
Right.
my own material, I can do okay with that. That's me. So
It's funny because I remember when we first heard that Killswitch had to get a new singer. It was always like, how the fuck is this guy gonna fill those shoes? Like, how the fuck is this dude gonna sing My Last Serenade?
Yep.
No way.
Yep.
Like
Yeah,
that shit is.
he
There's
did it
no
really
chance.
well, though.
That's a good point though, because I fully remember. I fully
Yeah.
remember reading wherever the fuck we would read news about bands back in that
was
time
like
frame. Probably
Circus
fucking
Magazine or some
yeah,
shit.
you know, and being like, who the fuck are they going to get to follow up that guy? So it's wild to hear
Yeah.
you
I
saying
know.
the same thing about Howard. Like, how the fuck am I going to follow up that guy? Because I don't know, it's just a wild thing to.
And
hear.
we had a full circle moment when Howard started coming around again,
Yeah.
and those guys sort of like made peace with everything. Very gentlemanly too. They never dragged each other through the mud, which was nice. And I finally got to hang out with him for the first time. I think it was 2015, maybe 2016. I'm not sure. Where I actually was like, he wasn't just the guy in Blood Has Been Shed and Driven. And by the way, Driven was a band before Blood Has Been Shed. And that's when I knew he could sing. I knew him from Driven back 94, 95.
Damn.
Oh,
He
wow.
could sing his face off. So when they got him, I was like, I know him not just from Blood Has Been Shed, but Driven. I'm like, that guy can run circles. He's got this. What the hell is my point? Oh, so I got to meet Howard and actually hang with him and chill with him. And, I got a couple of drinks with me because I was nervous. He was there watching
bet. I was
side
gonna ask, was it
stage.
weird?
It's like Howard's right there and I'm singing Howard's songs and he's right there. Like, so I got a little drunk that night and he came on the bus and I was like drunk enough to be like, hey man, I gotta talk to you. I gotta tell you something, man. It was like, you're one of my biggest vocal teachers because I had to learn how to sing like you and it's really fucking hard. And he's like, I know fans fucking hate me and they love you and it's been really hard. I just want to tell you, like, I appreciate you and it's fucking hard. He's like, and he doesn't drink anymore, so he was like sober. And he's like, well, fuck you, man, because when I joined the band and I had to sing around the street and shit. It's like people waiting for you, and then I show up on stage. It's like some black guy, and like that shit was hard too. So fuck you.
That's incredible.
And just joking, and then I ended up I gave him a big hug, teary eye. I'm like,
it's
fucking
cool.
awesome. And then he sat me down, and we're in the front lounge, and it was just jokes and him being self-deprecating, and the guy, watch these guys just sort of like patch things up in real time. And then he gave me his earbuds. He's like, check this out, man. It's my new project. And he played me Light the Torch. It was after Devil You Know had kind of done its thing, and he played me early demos of Light the Torch. And I went out to the front seat of the bus to like close the door so I could pay attention because it was a lot of laughter and jokes and shitty hip-hop music going on. And I was like, whoa. I mean, Devil You Know was good, but Light the Torch, I came into the room, I was like, yo, this is sick. It's kind of like the Deftones meets like metal. Like, this is great, and I love your singing more. And he's like, yeah, I'm loving it, man. This is kind of where I'm at right now. And I became a fan, like a legitimate fan of Light the Torch. I love that band. And we became friends from that point on. I got his phone number. We texted back and forth, and
That's cool.
the rest is history. Like, I am no qualms, no queries. If he's in town, he's around, he comes on stage, he sings, like, he's part of the family. It's all good.
That's awesome.
Now Adam and him are going to put out a record, I think, next year. But the legacy is important for fans to see, and it's important for us. There's no bad blood there, and there's a lot of love and respect. I don't want him to rejoin the band. I want my job. But I love and
Just keep
admire
your ass
him.
at a distance.
Yeah, and I'm excited I haven't even tried to listen to what he's done with Adam. I don't want to hear it till it's done. But I'm excited for that too. It's going to be another addition to the family tree of what we've done.
Do you think there would ever be a time where you both toured with Killswitch and he did his songs and you did yours?
I hope not. Because I mean, I have to split a paycheck, man.
Yeah, right. It's true. It's true.
This man's smart.
You know, for me, like, I don't know. I love where we are, and I love doing the material, and I love where we're at. The only way I would ever consider that is if all four of my dudes are like, we really want this.
Sure.
Which I've had that conversation, and that's not the case. So
awesome.
I know, and I actually have had many conversations with him. He's kind of not into the idea of touring a lot. He's really getting older, and he likes being at home a lot more.
Yeah.
And he's done a lot of great projects and put himself in the studio with a lot of good people. And I hope he continues to do that because he's just a great vocalist.
He really is. Before we go too much further into like, you know, current day, I want to know what it was like having to audition to get back into Killswitch.
Sure.
Like what a wild situation to like find yourself in, having to like audition, like almost like you have to earn your spot back into the band that you like kind of helped pave the way for. You know what I mean?
I did that on purpose to show humility.
Sure. Okay.
Sure.
That's fair.
And I also did that because I had said no. They approached me. I met with them twice. I mean, early days, they asked me to rejoin earlier than most people thought because they were just having a hard time. But, you know, for me, it was important to show my humility.
Sure.
Put in the work. So 2 weeks solid of me learning enough material where I could do 15 songs with them and showing up confident that I could do it, thankfully. So I had my confidence about me. But more importantly was, how am I going to be received by these guys who I bailed at like such a crucial time? And here I am again after saying no.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
How's this going to play out? So the idea was they knew I'd be the last one in after they auditioned. I was like, I think it was 3 days of auditions, 25 some singers. I come in last and, you know, they've been doing this shit for days.
Yeah, I would have been sick of playing the songs by that point.
They were clearly like, ugh. And then I walk in and they're like, hey, okay, cool. Let's see what you got. What do you want to do? I was like, well, let's start with some of my stuff to warm up and then I'll try the other stuff. And it just turned into like fun. Like we were just having fun, laughter. Yeah. I could see the guys like looking at each other and nodding, and like you could tell that we were gelling. It was fun. It was good. And then when all was said and done, I was like, all right, before I leave, I got to talk to you guys. Let's just have a sit down. I was like, oh, you know, I can't change the past. And I did this whole thing. Mm-hmm. I said, look, if you don't choose me, I get it. I know I'm up against some stiff competition. There's some great vocalists that are trying out for this. I fault you not. You guys are my friends. I fucked you over in the early days. Totally cool. But if you do choose me, I won't let you down. I'd rather die than let you down again. I won't quit. I won't back out. I don't care what it takes. I'll do whatever I can. And I've been able to keep my word ever since. And that first tour back was so much fun. There were so many nights where I could see those guys were relieved that they could still do this. Yeah. And I was relieved that I get to do this again. So I'm going to say even the first 2 years, like we just had fun together. And I drank more beer than I've ever drank in my life.
That beer hits different when it's free and on your rider.
And I had never toured with that sort of luxury before. Because Killswitch Times of Grace was okay, but Killswitch touring?
Yeah.
I was like, dude, they're like, what do you want to tell me what you want in your rider? In the early days, I'm like, I don't know, a lot of things. And now like it's super simple because I don't want things to go to waste. But I remember getting my first bottle of tequila. They're like, that's yours. The bottle? Yeah, we're gonna get one tomorrow. Okay. Yep. There was a point, not good, but there was a point in touring with Killswitch we're on the road all the time, and I could drink a bottle of tequila and be fine.
Yeah.
And that's when it was like, that's when I started to like, I gotta pump the brakes with this.
This could get out of control quick.
Yeah.
I actually have a question though, because you said something that triggered something you said earlier in the conversation, but where did you find that confidence from? Because earlier on you said that was something that you were lacking, and then you said you went into auditions and you had the confidence. So where did that confidence come from?
I mean, 9 years of life experience, being in Seamless, touring with them, being in the Empire Shall Fall, and I managed and like booked and handled the Empire Shall Fall. So every weekend I'm out there being a manager, being in control, taking care of, talking to promoters.
Sure.
So I was learning all the ins and outs of everything we do, and then just building up my repertoire as a vocalist, learning how to do different things, learning how to preserve my voice a little better. I approached them with 9 years, just gone through boot camp. I paid my own dues without them. They paid their dues without me, and I paid my own dues. So I showed up with enough experience to know that I'm going to take this seriously. I know how to do it enough. And just, obviously I had the material from A Light Was Breathing that I wrote. So like, that's easy for me. And then the other songs, it was 2 weeks of just absolute brainwashing myself where I could remember the song like that. So I did all my homework. So when I showed up, they could call out a song and I got it.
You were there to knock it out of the park.
Yeah. Cause that was it. It was like, am I going to continue to bartend? And I thought that's what I wanted to do until the idea of potentially rejoining this band again got dangled in front of my face. Sort of after being recognized and almost being like shook, like, he's right. What the fuck am I doing behind a bar? I couldn't be doing that. Why? And it was
what
almost
the fuck
like,
am I doing?
Like my ego, like, go sing Howard's song. Shut up and go sing. What are you doing, dude?
Right.
Yeah, it's almost like you needed those extra years of like real world, real life experience to like help shape you, to mold you into being the guy that they needed to front the band, which is totally fair. You were so young in the beginning,
And the fact that I have all those years of working as a blue collar person, so when shit goes south on the road and something doesn't go right, you're not going to hear me bitching, being like, I need my spring water. Like, none of that. I'm legitimately like, cool.
Yeah.
A bad day out here is a fucking, a great day. Am I saying that right? I don't think I'm saying that right. Yeah,
a bad day on the road
I know what you're saying.
Is a great day working at a bar or working construction or carpentry or silk screening T-shirts or working in a warehouse. I've done all those jobs. And on my worst day on the road, I'm still like a king compared to how I used to be. So I do not take any of it for granted.
Absolutely. I mean, fair enough. Fair. I mean, that's what working in the real world will make you realize how
we ain't got it so bad.
No, yeah, we have a pretty cool job,
Right.
We're very fortunate.
Yes, we are.
So I guess what I want to know then is, now that you've been touring more again since you've been back in the band, like, how do you go about like balancing your personal life, band life, work life? Like, how do you separate the two? Because like Josh said earlier, and I admit, like, I'm terrible at shutting off my work brain. And like I can imagine, like, you're working on a record. Like, how do you turn off that part of your brain? And like, you're a married man. Like, how do you? I find myself in intense creative moments. Like, if we're working on a record, I can't stop thinking about the record until it's done, right? And right through that door, I have a wife and 2 kids who need me to also be present. How do you compartmentalize each thing and give them all the attention that every part of your life needs? Like, what works for you for that?
I think touring, when I'm in the touring cycle, when I've been at it for a little bit, it's fairly easy for me to come home and just shut it all off and like hyper focus on my wife.
Sure.
And do all the nice things and just make her feel, like she's holding down the fort. But when I'm making a record, that is so difficult because I'm eating, sleeping, losing sleep, shitting. Like, everything I do is obsessively around the creation of a record. And every person that I've ever been with, relationship wise, sees the insanity that I go through. I go through dark periods where I'm just pulling out the words and questioning myself, doubting myself, feeling triumphant, and just can't stop listening to the same thing over and over and over again. It's blasting through the house. Like, I drive everybody crazy when I make a record, including myself. So that is hard. And sometimes it comes to the point where I have to be told, like, can you just not today? Can I have my husband? Can I have, records are really hard, but touring is a little easier for me. Because by the time I get home, I'm ready to come. I'm like ready.
Sure.
And then we always joke about this, but it's kind of true, depending on the tour. After about 2.5, 3 weeks, I'm ready to go back out. Like, let's go. And if I'm spending too much time on the road, I get burnt out. If I'm home too long, I get burnt out. I kind of need both. So when I'm home, I am present, for the most part. I've been working on a lot of side projects and doing a lot of stuff. But, I just wait till my lady goes to work, and that's when I work. So when she works, I work. When she's home, I'm present to her. That's kind of how I've figured out how to do this. But also, and you talk to hopefully anyone who's on the road that has a relationship, you come home and you spoil that person. You make it feel you bring home gifts, you book a weekend at an Airbnb, like, do whatever you got to do to like, make sure that spark stays. And communication on the road, taking time to FaceTime, make phone calls, bring them out on the road for a few days if you can, like all that shit.
I was going to ask, does she come out?
She'll come out. So if it's like a 2-week run, no. If it's a 4-week run, maybe. If we're pushing 4 or 5 weeks, that's a little too long. So usually, like, for the summer tour we're doing, which is a pretty big run, she'll come out for a few days. When we go to Europe, she's going to come out for a few days. So it depends. But if it's like, I leave in a week for 2 weeks with Shadows Fall, like, it's 2 weeks. It's fine. It's easy.
Right.
Yeah.
2 weeks is nothing. It's when you get past that mark that it's like, all right, are we going to see each other? Because it would really help.
Yeah.
Especially her. And I think a lot of people don't realize this too. It must be said. When you go on the road and you're touring, that's difficult for sure. But when you're the person that stays home and you're sleeping in the same bed without person, you're in the house and there's just echoes of their memory, and you're like, I have to give it to people who stay home. That has got to be super fucking hard.
Oh, yeah.
Anything I can do to help her, I'm there for her.
Yep. I mean, like I said, I've mentioned now, but married to a wife with 2 kids, like, I'm going to be gone starting the beginning of June, basically until September. We go do a lap around Europe for all the festivals. We come home and do the Volbeat summer thing. And it's like that whole time I'm gone. Granted, I am working, it's a fun job, but I am doing a job, right? And it can be exhausting, but
she can open that door and you're there.
Right. Right. And it's like, she's here holding down the fort, doing all the, she's doing the work of 2 people while I'm out, living my dream. And it's like, I wouldn't get to do this if she wasn't such a badass, and so like, I do think that like, that's a piece of the puzzle that a lot of people overlook for sure.
I have overlooked it for a lot of years, and I think it's something that I probably never gave my wife enough credit for, because, I left 4 days after my son was born and went, because we had to go do shows, and she just was left to handle and do everything by herself. And it's just not something that, selfishly, I guess, it's not something that we ever really thought about, because we spent so many years just out there going nonstop, going. But yeah, I mean, like you said, being in that bed by themselves and being in the house by themselves with all, like you, what did you say, the echo of your memory or whatever? That was great. And it's just not something that I guess we ever thought much about, which we should.
It didn't come to a head till my previous marriage. My ex pretty much just like, you're a selfish bastard, X, Y, and Z. And I was like, I never thought of it that way. She goes, you don't know what I go through. I'm lonely, and she was a piece of shit, so I'm glad she's gone. But it did make me think of, because she was not faithful, but she did make me think about like the other side of it. And now going into my new relationship, I came equipped with like, this ain't gonna be easy. I'll make it as easy as I can.
Right.
Little things like I'll send her a little money and go buy yourself a dress, take yourself to dinner, to go out with the girls, like little things like that. Just anything that make me feel special. You got to do it, man. And another thing too to consider, and I run this through my head when I'm having a hard time on a long tour. We wake up in a new place. That's exciting. That's dopamine rush. You wake up and you got your crew of dudes. If you're not in a good place, Hopefully you guys can agree. You can say, I'm not in a good place. All right, come, we're going to go play video games in the back lounge. We're going to go for some beers. We're going to go to like a baseball game, like whatever. You've got your crew of people who know what it's like.
Right.
Yep.
If you don't have a good support system, like hopefully, I know a lot of tour wives and people who stay home, they have that network of people, whether it's other wives in the band or whatever, or family gets how this goes. If you don't have that, like that's hard.
Yeah, tough.
Really
Real tough. I mean, it's isolating to be left at home, but like to not have anybody to be your support system. Like that's man, I don't know. So you mentioned this crazy summer tour, and it may be the biggest tour of the summer. It's called Summer of Loud.
Summer of Loud.
Yeah. Who all's on it? It's you guys, Parkway Drive, Beartooth, I Prevail.
Yeah, it's all 4 headliners basically swapping it out. Like we're doing the Warped Tour thing where like we headline one night, we're opening this night. Like the 4 bands are rotating. So it's 4 headliners just beefing it out, dude. It's going to be sick. And then like the supporting acts, there's a bunch of great supporting acts that rotate as well. When that idea got put on us, we're like, we would never expect to do this type of a tour. But, we saw the lineup, we saw the numbers, we saw the venues, and we're like, this, you can't say no to this shit.
Right.
I don't know that I've somehow ever seen Killswitch live, but I manage a band called Dark Divine, and they're opening the 3rd leg.
Oh, right on.
And I'm going to get to see y'all live for the first time,
sick.
probably.
Well, you're going to see a really high production show for this one. So that's
I've heard about it. It's pretty going to be interesting, huh?
Yeah, we have to make it interesting, dude.
Yeah, that's
here's
true.
The thing, man. Like, we're okay with like a video wall and some lights and some fun, but all 3 of those bands, I Prevail, Beartooth, and especially freaking Parkway Drive.
I literally just said this the other day to Josh.
Look at their production. I'm like, how are we?
What the fuck are we gonna do?
Like,
right.
Throwers and fire stages in the sky.
Right.
What?
Yep. You
gotta bring the fucking old school Kiss thing and fucking soar across the crowd or something, dude.
That's wild. But here's the thing, dude. I was like, I'm game to do some Made in these shit, and those guys are like, nope, we're Killswitch. We won't do that. So legitimately, like, we're gonna bring production, but like, I don't know, man. I feel like the other 3 bands are probably gonna have a little more something than we are.
You just got to get up there and kick their ass musically.
We're going to make it work. But yeah, just watching the social media of those 3 bands lately, I'm like, how? This is insane.
we just did Parkway's biggest Australian headline run they did last year. And that fire stage where the fucking thing comes down from the city. Like I saw, it was nuts. But Josh and I were just talking about this a couple days ago, and I was talking about how, like, the 4 headliners, and like, man, I don't want to be the stage manager trying to figure out where everybody's stuff goes and how it moves, and I was like,
talk about quitting touring. I'm out of there.
and my first thing immediately was, well, where they fucked up was they made one of the headliners Parkway Drive, because now everybody has to compete with that level of production. Like, that's just how that goes when you have that band in the mix now.
I feel really bad for our dudes. They've been dealing with it for months now.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Towards the end of this last tour, we had a quick little like check-in, and I still feel really bad for them.
Buddy, I don't think that's going to end till the tour is over.
No.
Yeah, it's not.
The sheer amount
going to be a
bands,
daily battle.
The sheer amount of bands, and they want to start it at noon. This is what I hear. No, I would not want that job. Production manager, stage, none of it.
Yeah,
I have a feeling we're going to be buying a lot of drinks and maybe some therapy sessions for these guys.
It sounds likely.
Definitely.
I was talking to our mutual friend, Mr. Alex Marquides, about this. He mixed a show for us last December, and we were talking about it. And he was in like the very early stages of talking to all the other front of house guys on the tour, and he was already like getting nervous sweats about it. And I was like, dude, you're gonna, first off, day 1 through 5 might be stressful. You get the first week out of the way, everything's gonna get much smoother. Everybody's gonna have fun.
Yeah, my hope is, we've toured with Parkway Drive, great guys, they're easy.
Yeah, the best.
Never tour. I met the I Prevail dudes on
Shiprocked.
Yeah, and super sweet.
Yeah, the nicest.
I've met the Beartooth guys briefly in passing. So everyone seemed, my read on it, is at least the band dudes. I know the band dudes. All of them seem really nice, and usually that carries over to the crew. So I'm assuming we're all going to be on the same team here, and it will get sussed out.
100%.
Yeah,
100%.
My guys were on the first. When we got the offer, we were on the third leg. Then something happened and we got switched to the first leg. Then something happened again and we got switched back to the third leg. And I was like, I'm fucking glad that you guys are on the third leg, because hopefully by that time in the tour, all the bullshit will be worked out and we won't have any problems.
The game plan will be figured out. Well,
yeah, exactly.
I also want to say, Alex is going to come join us on the Volbeat tour like a week after your tour ends. So if he needs therapy by the end of that, I'm hoping that you get him through his therapy session so he's not crying in his bunk on our bus.
I'm surprised he hasn't booked a scuba diving expedition down in Mexico after that.
To be honest, I think the only reason he agreed to come out with us is because we told him that it's cool if his wife comes and does merch for us too. So he gets to he gets to be on vacation, but also at work with his wife. So we were like, you're on like, the maybe one of the hardest but also coolest tours of the summer. Bring your wife. You guys get to just hang out and chill for a bit.
Wow, what a madman. Our schedule's already packed. I
know. But you know what? I don't know if I know anybody who loves being on tour more than him. He loves it.
He does love it.
Are you guys touring again in the fall too?
Yeah, we're over and we're doing, getting ready to announce it actually in a couple days. When does this come out?
This will be a couple.
Yeah,
weeks.
It'll be a couple weeks before this comes out.
Yeah, we got a sick lineup for Europe. We're doing mainland Europe, and then we're doing UK. I can tell you right now,
headlining.
Yeah, we're headlining, awesome. And then hold on, where is it? I'll give you the exclusive, even though this isn't coming out for a while. But Fit for an Autopsy,
sick.
Hatebreed.
Oh fuck.
Decapitated.
Fuck.
Oh fuck.
Employed to Serve.
Jesus Christ, dude.
So rotating on different legs, but that's the lineup we chose. Like,
wow.
Decapitated, Fit for an Autopsy. I'm like, how? That's so heavy. How? And then Hatebreed joined the. I was like, okay, it's just a heavy part. We're like the least heavy band on the whole thing.
I don't think it matters though.
But I love Decapitated is one of my favorite metal bands. So to be able to watch them on a regular basis would be great. They're like, in my eyes, probably one of the best metal bands on the planet right now.
And they've like throughout their career been pretty fucking consistent and just putting out banger record after banger record too.
And Fit for an Autopsy are my homies. I love those dudes, and they're great too.
I love Pat. I love all the dudes in that band. Yeah, they're just the nicest guys ever. And it's been really cool to see them really start to get their flowers in recent years too. Yeah, they've been at it for a minute. My old band, Texas in July, did a record with Will Putney before anybody really was paying attention to Fit for an Autopsy. But Pat used to stop, like he would stop by throughout the period we were making our record with Will, and I just remember meeting Pat back then and being like, this dude's the fucking coolest, scary as shit, don't want to be on his bad side, but cool as fuck. And
you met him back in the day when he was Fat Pat, dude. He was a pit boss. He was a maniac.
I've heard stories, and I'm glad I was
and now he's like the nice mayor of hardcore that likes coffee.
Yes, he genuinely is one of my favorite people. He's super awesome.
He's a sweetheart, and he's very wise, and he cares a lot.
Yes, he does. And like I said, it's just cool to see them finally getting the love that they've deserved for a long time now. Because again, just like another unbelievably consistent band, just putting out like a great song and great record after great record. Record.
They were ahead of the curve, man.
Yes.
They were pioneers of what they're doing, and it is great to see them get what they deserve, because they do deserve it.
Yep, absolutely. All right, Josh, you want to hit them with the meet and greet questions, and then I can hit them with the day sheet as we start to wind down our little chat here.
Yep. So we got a Patreon, and part of the perks is they get to submit some questions. So we got 2 questions. mfox919 asked, "What's the worst movie you've ever seen?"
Can it also be one of the best I've seen? Worst?
Sure.
Troll 2.
Troll 2?
Troll 2.
That is a movie that is so bad it's good.
And there's a documentary about it called The Worst Movie Ever, which,
really, if
you've not seen that, you got to see that. You got to watch Troll 2. Try to take it seriously, which you won't. And if you watch the documentary, I think it's called The Worst Movie Ever, side by side. And I didn't know about this till I joined Killswitch, and one of their They love shitty music and shitty movies. So like you're gonna have nights where you watch a shitty movie. And I remember watching that and like, that's real?
Yeah.
Those are the trolls? It's like little people in jogging pants with like a plastic Halloween mask and their eyes aren't even in the right place with like sticks.
Oh wow.
And the acting is awful. But have I seen it like 40 times? Yes, I have, because I love it. It's so bad. So bad, but so good. So if you haven't, you gotta watch. You gotta watch it. It's incredible. Another one's Street Trash. It's another movie that's always on the Killswitch buzz. Just awful. Like B-rated horror movies are like one of our favorite. Like I'd say D-rated horror movies are some of our favorites to watch on the bus.
Love
Interesting. Okay, Antifrost asks, do you think if you pursued a career outside of music, you'd have a similar reputation around your name?
Probably not. I think music is such a unique thing. It touches people in a way that I don't think any other art form does.
Sure.
And the way that I've been blessed to do it, I can't imagine duplicating that in any other sort of art form. And to be fair, if I wasn't in music, I 100% would be in the hospitality industry, either a bartender or a part owner. The restaurant world and the bar world are such a love of mine, and most of my friends are in either own clubs or restaurants or chefs. Like that's my world. So the impact would not be felt, I don't think. Maybe in small teeny ways when you sat at a bar and we had a conversation here and there, but
Sure.
There's no way that the impact would be even remotely the same.
Fair enough. All right. Now we're going to go into our lightning round we call the day sheet. So I'm just going to throw some questions at you. Just hit me with whatever comes to mind first. First album you ever bought with your own money?
Phil Collins. I can't remember the name of it, but it was in the 80s. Yeah, Phil Collins. And I still love Phil Collins. Was it? The hell is it? It's his face on the front of the record. I can't remember.
I'm gonna pull. Give me 1 second here. I'll pull up Spotify, and we'll find it right now in real time. We need to get ourselves a fucking Jamie like Joe Rogan.
Oh yeah.
In the 80s with this. Well, he's got all of his albums.
Hey, I'll tell you right now.
His face on it.
I'm gonna take it at you. Hold on 1 second. I know. Now that I look at it, yeah, his face right
on every record cover.
No jacket required.
Okay. All right. I'm so glad to be talking to and not that there. So okay, we did one of these with a girl. She sings for a band called Deadlands. Her name's Casey,
God.
and
you'll feel this pain.
Yeah, you will. She's young. She's like, I don't know, 21 or 22, something like that. Her band is starting to really pick up a lot of steam, and we did this whole thing, and we were like, what's the first album you ever bought with your own money? And she goes, I don't think I have ever bought an album. She was too young to buy an album, and it crushed my soul, dude. It crushed me. It hurt me so much.
Fuck, I'm already having this complex when I go to shows of being like the old guy in the room. So I just said, I was like, fuck, man, I'm getting old.
Yeah, that one hurt.
I'm getting old.
I couldn't deny I'm getting old.
So old, you got to jump in the pit and prove yourself. I'll last about a song. I'm like, gah! I still get in the pit, though. I still get in the pit.
You might only last a song, but you make that song count.
Yep. You see me. I'm not that old, right?
Okay. Okay. You kind of answered this one earlier, but favorite Killswitch song you didn't originally record?
Yeah, Arms of Sorrow.
Arms of Sorrow? Okay. Yeah. One band you still dream about sharing the stage with? Like, what if you could pick one band, I guess alive or dead, active,
alive
not
active?
Alive or
dead, fuck it.
Any band at all to share the stage with, who would it be?
Faith No More, Angel Dust Era.
Okay. That's a good
Solid.
one. That's a good one. Coffee or tea?
Oh
no.
Tea, because I drink it more, but I'm going to be specific with this. I love coffee, but I usually only drink it when I'm need to be stimulated to write, because I'm old. It gives me acid reflux. But the tea that I drink is dank. Like I love matcha, and I love golden milk, which is a turmeric latte. Yep. And both of those pack a punch. But I do love coffee. At this stage in my life, I gotta be careful of the agita, so I don't really drink a ton of it.
What is?
I still love
golden?
it. Still love it.
What is golden milk?
So golden milk is, and I have it every single day on tour.
Really?
and every single day and night. And I do it with, I shave fresh ginger and boil it. Then it's turmeric, black pepper. You can kind of customize what you want. I put like vanilla bean in it. I put cardamom seeds in it sometimes, coconut milk, honey, and you stir it up like a nice thick elixir. It helps with arthritis, swelling, blood flow, mucus control.
Wow.
Helps you sleep, helps you wake up. To me, like the moment I drink it, it's like a big, huge, warm hug. And it's Ayurvedic medicine. It's ancient Indian. It's an ancient Indian recipe. But yeah, look up golden milk and try one. It's vegan. It's not dairy. I can't do dairy either. I'm allergic to dairy.
Can you get it? Like, do you have to make your own, or can you
No,
get?
you can go to like a health food store or Whole Foods, or you can order online. But there's a brand that I like to get. It's in a green label and it just says golden milk on it, and it's so good.
Interesting.
It's an acquired taste though, because it's spicy. It's got the turmeric thing, but then you add a little sweetness to it. But you will notice a difference if you have any digestion issues or swelling or suffering from aches and pains. It really helps sort that out.
Well,
I'm gonna check that out.
That actually goes really well into the next one here, and that might be the answer. But the most random item you always have to have on tour.
Golden milk.
I'd say more so than that, just ginger, like every single
that's
day.
On our rider too.
Straight up ginger. I mean, not even just for your voice and for mucus control, but just for your health. It's an absolute must. Daily, I have it.
How do you take it? Just eat it?
No, I usually boil it. I boil it and then I reduce it, and then I'll put it in a mason jar and seal it, and it just sits in the refrigerator. And I'll take shots of it, or I'll warm it up and make it into a tea with some lemon maybe, or if I'm feeling feisty, I'll add some dark rum and make like a little bit of a hot toddy with it. It's really good.
Yeah, okay. Yeah,
Respect.
I like that.
Okay, the question is written, early show you played that was a total disaster, and what happened? So, like, what's your biggest disaster show story?
Killswitch Engage, playing Bill's Bar in Boston, and I get on stage, I go to hit that first scream, and there's nothing there. And on the first record, there was a lot of growling and mid-range. I couldn't do any of it, so I figured I could scream high, so the entire set is me going, like, through the whole thing. It was awful. I was sweating. I was embarrassed. I wanted to just go and hide. Awful.
You frontmen have by far the hardest job. By far the hardest job out of any of us in the band.
For sure.
First tattoo you got, what was it, and do you still like it?
This right here?
Yep.
Which I don't even really know what it is, but I was super into Sepultura. It was 1994.
Sure.
And I was still in high school. I had to get permission to get it. And I don't love it, but it reminds me of an era. I mean, this is all 90s right here.
Yeah,
this whole 90s crown of thorns. Like, it's so Biohazard, Obituary, like Sepultura era of my life.
Right.
I just thought I was cool because I was 15 years old getting a tattoo, and I went to school the next day with my sleeve up like that,
showing it off.
Tattoo. My 90s tribal.
Hey,
back
that
then
was
you were
cool.
Fucking badass though.
Yeah, back then everybody's like, "Don't fuck with that dude. He's got a tattoo."
Yep. Definitely what they said.
If you could front any band for one night besides Killswitch, who would it be?
Motorhead.
Wow.
Interesting.
I fully was not expecting that, but that could be cool.
Fun.
Fun. Absolutely.
I could sing Lemmy songs all day long and my voice is fine and the range is great. It's just party. I love Motorhead. I could totally do that. And second up next to that would probably be The Clash. Love The Clash.
Very sick.
But yeah, Motorhead all day.
What song that you've written has your favorite lyrics in it? Like what song is your favorite lyrically? Like you feel like has you're most proud of your writing?
On the most recent Times of Grace record, there's a song called Far From Heavenless, which to me I think might be one of the most honest songs I've ever written. And it's struggling with coming out of organized religion and facing the persecution of someone who calls himself spiritual and being told that I'm going to hell because I'm no longer a practicing Christian. That song is my kickback. And the idea of like, how come I can't be heavenly and righteous and beautiful if I don't subscribe to a specific religion? I found the hypocrisy in that, and my heart was broken. So that song is about spiritual heartache. And kissing cousin next up to that, which I think falls directly in line as a precursor to that song, is a song called It Falls on Me, which I think is on Incarnate.
Yeah,
Which is just,
I
it's
think that is
about
correct.
me wrestling with my idea of what I thought God was most of my life and how I perceive what God probably is now, which is, to me, love and the feeling of love, the idea of love, the profundity of love is what I see God is. And it's hard for me to say it's just this one thing. And those two songs really, I think, with the best of my ability to word kind of where I'm at or where I was and how I'm moving towards, and spiritual heartache, really, of just what I think people want the belief in God and religion to be this beautiful thing, but it's wrought with hypocrisy and persecution and hatred, and it still breaks my heart to this day. So those two songs, I'd say. But Far From Heavenless, and even the video, if you watch the video for that, I purposely dressed in all white and was being very preacher-like in that video, because I think it just speaks volumes to, what people expect God and religion to be and what it actually is to me these days.
Yeah,
The dogmatics I can do without, the dogma.
for sure. All right, last rapid fire one for you. If you weren't a musician, what do you think you'd be doing with your life? You kind of answered it with the hospitality thing, but yeah, if everything music went away today, what would be your first thing of, I'm going to go do this?
Well, since I answered earlier about what I love, I'm going to swing in the other direction and say park ranger.
Okay.
Wow.
Given everything you said at the very start of this, that feels
that
very
makes a lot of
fitting.
sense.
Yeah. So I do love the idea of, owning a bar, and, my long-term plan originally was tiki punk rock bar, and a place where I don't have to wear shoes. That was kind of like
Sure.
my thing. That's, fresh seafood on the beach, reggae music, punk
Man, I
rock,
fucking
and
love seafood.
tiki drinks. But the other side of me that I know I would love is protecting the forest and being the guy that goes out and does patrols and makes sure that, no animals are being trapped when they don't have to be, and making sure no one starts a wildfire. I could totally do that.
It's interesting hearing the two polar opposites of
that's
you.
me.
Like you love being where the party is at, but you also want to be like nowhere near it at the same time.
Touring, no touring.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Fair.
Schizophrenia.
All right. If right now you were given a 5-minute conversation with Jesse during the alive or just breathing process, what would the message be?
Two things. One, get help for your mind. Two, get help for your voice. Pretty much.
To be fair, back then there weren't many people, doing that kind of coaching for that, screaming and stuff.
That was pre Melissa Cross,
No,
right?
I was Melissa Cross's first student, second student.
No shit.
Okay,
There's a guy, is a hardcore band called Barrett, that used to play with Overcast, Corinne. I can't remember his name. God rest his soul. He passed, but it was me and him.
Oh wow!
I was the first. She calls me her golden voice because I was the first guy that sort of pushed her into the world of metal. Before she became Melissa Cross, she was, my first person that Roadrunner Records put me in front of to help me.
Sure.
That's pretty
And
incredible.
her lessons were way over my head. She was so advanced at that point. I didn't get it. And now she's my lifeline. To this day, I texted her a couple days ago. She is one of my dear friends, and I'm still training under her.
That's amazing.
I mean, she's a genius.
She's the fucking...
And she's an amazing human being as well.
Yeah.
I got to meet her.
I was with you.
Yep. We played Jake from August Burns Red. His Heart Support Foundation put on a festival a couple years ago, and the Ghost Inside played, and she was there. And she had done a couple lessons with Vigil, our singer, and she was, walking around looking for him. And I was like, I'm not even the singer in my band, but I just want you to know that like I look at you and I think of you as like, you know, rock and metal royalty.
Absolutely.
Because
We took
of
a
all the
picture with
people.
her and everything.
Yep, 100%. And so, and
And
she was.
when you hear her story, if you ever, I did an interview with her in my podcast back in the day called Stoke the Fire, and she did one recently. I can't remember with who, but if you learn her backstory, like where she comes from and what she's been through, you'll see her as a total superhero. She's a survivor of abuse.
Oh, wow.
And the reason she even figured out how to do what she does is because she lost her voice. She was singing in a punk band. She was like rubbing elbows with the Ramones. Like she was during
No shit.
Oh, wow.
punk. She was a punk rock queen, and she almost had a record deal, and she blew her voice out so bad. This is before anyone knew how to handle it. So she healed herself and then learned the science of the voice. She learned all that shit on her own. She researched
insane.
it and figured it out on her own and developed that technique with no help from anybody.
That's crazy.
That's amazing. Yeah, that's
Josh,
amazing.
we need to get her on.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, her stories. It's hard to hear. It's
Yeah.
powerful. I can't say enough good about her. She's like family to me. I wouldn't be here without her. She was by my bedside too when I got out of so prior to me going into surgery in 2018 for my voice to coming back out, she's the first person I talked to. She's the first person I said anything to, and she helped me rebuild my voice, how to speak. She taught me how to speak again.
That's
I
crazy.
speak differently, not just sing and scream, but I speak differently because of this woman.
Wow, that's amazing.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
Love her.
She's a genius. Well,
Yeah,
Jesse,
amazing.
we've been talking your ear off for quite a while now, dude. I
appreciate this.
Genuinely appreciate you giving us so much of your time and chatting with us and letting us dig into a little bit of your history and journey. It's been awesome.
I'm gonna be honest. Chris did this in the beginning. I'm gonna be polite and wait till the end. I've been singing My Last Serenade for the past like week. Ever since Chris told me you were coming on, the song has just never left my head, and it was one of my childhood favorites. So thanks for taking the time and chatting with
thank
us.
you guys both for all just the kind words, but also just good conversation. You know, I like this stuff. I was doing a bunch of press, and I stopped doing press, and I've just been home kind of working, and I was looking forward to a nice conversation, and it was great. So thank you guys.
Awesome.
I appreciate it. And just helping to continue to spread what I do, and that means a lot to me, man. I'm blessed to still get to do what I do. And when people like yourselves put me on a podcast and help continue to spread the word, it means a lot to me too. It's reciprocal. So thank you.
Of course, yeah.
Cool.
We're living
Appreciate
through a fairly dark time at the moment, and we need more people like you and what you guys do. Spreading a positive message out there and giving us all a little bit of hope.
Hope. There you go.
I believe there is hope for better days.
Amen, man. Quoting yourself once again.
I know. it's pretty bad.
Nah, I support it. All right, Jesse, take care, man. I appreciate it.
All right,
Thanks
boys.
a lot.
Peace. Thank you so much.
Hey everyone, Chris here, and I just wanted to take a second to say thanks for watching today's episode. You can check out more episodes of Late for Load-In on the right side of your screen and find any applicable links to this episode in the description down below. There you'll also find a link to our Patreon, which is the most direct way to support the show, and it's only $1 a month. Please consider giving this video a like, subscribe to the channel, and be sure to follow us on all social platforms, at Late for Load-In, at Chris_TGI, at Josh Carell. See you guys next week.